And today, 97% of the people are stick to what they are doing. So in our case, पहले दिन से ही हम technology system पे काम किए. The purpose was that we will have to make multiple shops.
So I want to introduce myself as Lalit Agarwal, Chairman of V-Mart Retail Limited. We operate more than 234 stores across 180 cities and towns in India, attracting more than 3 crore customers per year.
Were you in a situation where everything is opposite?
There were goons and there were people who disturb you. There's a call coming in from at my home, like बचा लो हमें.
कौन सी ऐसी 3-4 गलती थी उस टाइम में जो आपने गलतियां पहचानी?
उतने ही पैर निकालो जितनी बड़ी चादर है. Don't go for over expansion. Have a controlled expansion.
What's your understanding of trend?
There are processes. There are trend management companies. There are trend forecast companies. There are fashion shows which happens.
लोगों के साथ होता है कि वो अपने दोस्तों के साथ या अपने फैमिली के साथ कोई चीज शुरू करना चाहते हैं. What's your advice for that?
It is better to exchange a note, sign off on a piece of paper. Would be a tissue paper. At least you have something to hold each other accountable.
You are sitting with me right now here, but there are 400 other stores that are working for you while you are doing other stuff. How do you delegate that?
You need to always believe that there are people who can do work better than you and who can also do work which is some degree lesser and little worse than you, but still there is a value to it.
Greetings everyone. In this edition of Exploring Minds, we are with the man who sells denims and dreams to the real Bharat. The retail king of India, Mr. Lalit Agarwal, who is the founder and chairman of V-Mart, which is a retail chain, which has more than 400 stores across more than 290 towns in the country. And we are super excited to have him on the show. Thanks a lot for doing this, sir. Really grateful. Walk us to your earliest memories. जब आपने बताया था सर, आपने पापा की दुकान पे मस्ती करते करते बहुत सारी चीज़ें सीखी. कोई ऐसा इंसिडेंट आपको याद है जो शॉप पे हुआ किसी कस्टमर के साथ या किसी के साथ जो आपके दिमाग में छप गया and which later converted into a very big learning?
And see, definitely there are multiple of those. The whole experience at that shop. Actually, I used to go for fun. I used to go for at times relieving my father because he used to go for lunch, he used to go for some work, and so during those musty time also you tend to definitely interact with the customer, and because you were a child, the customer also used to not take you so seriously. But yeah, I used to act like I'm the manager of the store and I know everything, and so at times I used to. Because we were a tailor shop and we used to trial the customer, and then those times the once when someone has ordered a pant or a suit, they'll first come for the trial and the fit would be perfected there, and then the master would say, okay, these are the alterations that we'll do, and then we'll do the finishing and give you. So I used to, at times the master was not there, I used to make the trials for the customer, and I was just making some trial, and the customer had some problem. He had one leg short and one leg long a little bit.
Right.
And I wasn't able to convince him.
कि ये सही है.
ये सही है. And I was trying to convince him, and one day my grandfather was seeing me, and then he told later on that the way you were explaining the customer, and I was like 13-year-old at that point of time. He said, you're going to be a big man. You're going to be a good retailer. You're going to be a good retailer. And that was a blessing for me. And that's not something which worked for me. So I think, so some of those interactions with the customer during those times actually help you learn a lot of things. Actually create those confidence as well at that moment of time. We didn't knew that what this confidence means. And that confidence actually acted so much in the positivity. That confidence actually brought in so much of zeal to understand more. Or do more, because once you've spoken, you go and learn. You go in the back, you understand how is it going to get repaired, how is it going to work, how things can be sorted out, how do you take measurements, what measurements are important, what kind of persons. My master used to roll, and there are people with different kind of shoulders. There is sloping shoulders, and there are broad shoulders, and there are high shoulders, and then depending on those shoulders, there will be different cut, and there will be different fit, and there will be different ways of measurements. Those are some few things which are so important for a garment making, for an apparel making, for a fashion, for a design, which is so important for creating something without those expertise, because expertise always costs. The expertise always costs. That's what a brand is all about, and that's what the care that the brand person gives over the product is how the brand becomes. So otherwise the raw materials are similar. So
कपड़ा सब एक ही है.
कपड़ा एक ही है, raw material एक ही है. So that's what we got acquired, and that acquisition of certain skills during those times, and the excitement and then the confidence actually made this belief even more stronger, so that I can do a bigger thing and I can jump and take the risk. While how do a businessman become a bigger? Because they need to take fearless decisions.
Right.
Those fearless decisions is all a part of what you have ingrained inside you. How do you really learn certain things during your learning period, learning days, and which comes as a why do students learn during the student period, and why do all the schools and colleges learnings are done till a certain age? Because that age is your fertility age, that age is your acquisition age, and during those times, whatever you acquire actually helps you in taking all those decisions and all those actions going forward, and using the intelligence in the right way, coordinating things and collaborating things also.
जो फर्स्ट fearless decision था आपका, was that जब आपने पापा को कन्विंस करा कि instead of giving donations to my engineering college, आप मुझे पैसा दे दो, मैं बॉम्बे जाके बिजनेस कर लूंगा. Was that the first risk you took, or was there something else also?
I mean, yeah, to that degree, definitely the degree of risk was very, very high. There could have been smaller risks that I would have taken there, but this degree definitely was one of the biggest risk even my family took. It is just not me, but even my family, because investing that kind of money and my father's all the savings and everything that he had into a decision, and me being a child, a 19-year-old boy asking for that. Definitely there was a partner whom he knew, and he had confidence in both me and as well as a partner. But yeah, I think it was more fearless of my father who took that risk.
So your first business was printing press, right? Just after coming to college, you started this printing press business.
Yeah, along with the college, I started the printing press.
कैसे आप मैनेज कैसे करते थे? तो सुबह आप कॉलेज जाते थे और शाम को?
Yeah, my college used to start at 7:30. So I used to start my college at 7:30, and I had an arrangement with a partner that I'll reach the factory by 12 o'clock. My factory was almost an hour away from the college. I didn't have that kind of money, so I had to take a bus and a local train and reach there. So by 10:30, most of my classes would get over. So either I'll leave the college at 10:30 or max at 11, so that I'm able to reach there by 12 and 12:30. So that's how, and then definitely because you have to study, and at times you have to take some classes as well. So in the evening, I used to take classes. I used to finish my factory work by 6 o'clock, and then go to a class and take those classes, and then go back to home, and then study back for preparations and stuff. So I think there were a lot of multitasking that one needs to do, and then you need to just do both the stuff, even in factory when you're working. And when you've got some idle time, you need to study there as well. And when you are at the study mode, even there you have to complete some of the factory work, and that's how you have to think. It once again becomes like a subject for you while you're studying. It's a project, and if you've been given a project, how do you work on those projects? How do you try to bring out those differentiated time on those? And that's how you take it. And then when you're able to do that and manage that well, and once you start doing it, the whole ecosystem supports you. The whole ecosystem starts getting in favor of you. And that's how you get attuned to all of those. There are difficulties. There are times when you have problems. There are times when you have to leave your friends. There must be going on. There's a fest going on in the college, and there's a fun going on in the college, and the friends are hanging out, and they've got some plans to go to the beach and stuff. You have to sacrifice. You need to, and you can't go and attend all those.
Your first customers was Godrej soaps.
Yeah.
जिनको आपने वेब सुनाए थे. How did you convince them? Is
No,
there
I
an
think-
interesting story behind that?
No, I definitely, these are all persistence. It is all about showing up your skill, and then persistence, and getting onto the getting an entry into such kind of organization, getting an entry into such kind of businesses where you get an entry with a very, very small work. You don't get a very, very large work. You get a very, very small work. There's some some teaser that you catch up to and some connection that you catch up to. And then with that connection, you just persistently chase them for a small problem that you can solve for them. There was some problem that they were in where they had some misprinted on certain product and they wanted to repair it, and it was either it was getting wasted or you need to repair it. So and I took up that whole product कि मैं पूरा लेके मैं बोला मैं उसको reprint misprint को ठीक करके मैं आपको वापस दे दूंगा. And that was just a very small work in terms of monetary value, but that gave them the confidence a lot to them. And we solved some of their problems.
And you got put in the door.
Adhered to the commitment, and we got a relationship, and that relationship actually works. It is just not the foot in the door, but it is a relationship because you helped them during those problem times.
Right.
So you need to find those opportunities and then latch onto those opportunities, which is out of the way, which is not the actual work that we used to do, but out of the way we went out. We struggled, we strived, we went out and did nights and days to work on those projects, and then we give them back. So I think that's something which gave a confidence. And with that confidence, you start getting some fresh orders and some new orders because you get into the trust of the ecosystem. When you start getting into the trust of the ecosystem, this is all about that. Ultimately, it's all about the trust and relationship.
आपने printing press चलाई, उसके बाद what was the thing that you started doing? And for 10 years you ran this printer. How did they evolve?
Yeah, I mean, the printing press, along with my partner, we did for 10 years. It was complete 10 years. And definitely started with a very small machinery. And then we set up a complete press. And it was just not, we started with Godrej, and then we went to some pharma industries and then pharma companies. And then there are some cosmetic company which we acquired. So the businesses, and then it evolved in bringing out some innovation there as well, some creativity there as well, some production-linked mindset on how do you work with the people, how do you work with getting higher production, how do you work on machinery repairs, maintenance of the machineries, prevention of breakdowns, and then work on those employee health, employee benefits, employee happiness, and how do you? Some of those things actually worked and gave us so much of insight. And it is all about the whole supply chain or even the logistic. Everything was involved in this. So I think definitely running any kind of establishment, running any kind of institution, or running any kind of production unit do give you a lot of raw inputs. And a lot of raw inputs when you have a small unit, it actually makes you even work. You need to work. You need to plan. You need to cost. आपको costing भी आने सीख जाते हो आप negotiation भी सीख जाते हो. You start getting into technical details.
Right.
You start learning about those technical details. You research by yourself. You move around, go to exhibitions. So you that's the process of learning. I think all of these smaller units is always a process of learning, and that's how you evolve your unit, and that's how you start becoming efficient and even potentiality of deriving the business out of the same unit and getting some extra production done or extra turnover done also starts happening without investing too much.
This is a very interesting point that your father trusted you with so much of money. Why do you think your father trusted you? And what are some learnings from his decision that you want to propagate to your children?
No, I think he trusted me because anyway he saved that money for me. He wanted to invest into my education, which I wanted to use in a little other way. So I knew that definitely this is one saving. Anyway, it was a commitment. It was a kind of some kind of stress for me that I have to use that kind of money from him, because I knew the way he used to earn in the shop. I have been in the shop. I have been a part of the running of the shops. I know how savings was being done, how he used to manage his cash flow, how he used to manage his whole rentals and the expenses, and then bringing out some certain amount of cash, and then how he used to also create those savings by small petty everyday saving. Like every day there would be a banker who would come to us and take away 30 rupees or 40 rupees and 50 rupees, and then that's how we used to save, and that's how the whole saving plan got installed. So I had a lot of respect for that money. So definitely it was just not the trust that he showed, but also a commitment that I had to deliver, and also the responsibility that I took.
Right.
It was a challenge that one has to take, because you know that one, you are going away from the home. It was a distance away from the home. I'm going to go into a big city. I'm definitely leaving a part of my career which I have always dreamt of, becoming an engineer or getting educated, and I'm sacrificing that. I'm sacrificing my home, and I'm also taking a risk on this, my father's capital. So I think it's more about the situations that you get into, and then suddenly that commitment that you generate, and the kind of focus that you bring in, the kind of attitude that you display and demonstrate. It all is a part of that particular decision. So definitely he must have seen some, because he was also an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs also always has to take some risk, and he took the right risk on his best asset,
Right.
which was his son. So I think that's how a father should think, and that's how a child should take it, and have that kind of relationship with his father, so that he can convince, and he can convince that there is a potential in me, wherein I can invest, and that's how I think every father should try and take some risk, and have the, first of all, if I think a risk can be taken, should be taken on his own asset, and which is something which has been breeded by him,
Right.
or even born because of him. So I think all of this is a very, very good learning, and then some of those risks on those right time is also very, very important.
Give us an example.
Like I mean, this age, even the age at which you take the risk, is also it can also become an immature decision,
Right.
and sometimes it fails, and most of the times it would also fail. But completely trusting and forgetting, and also looking at the ecosystem, that how are you seeing the support system? Is he alone, or is he being guided? Is he alone, or is he being mentored, and is he being consulted, and is there some more help that he can get? Because ultimately I was immature at that point of time, because he really saw all of those things, and then took those decisions. So these are some of the things that initial entrepreneur has to take care of.
Right.
And then definitely the business plan. What are you getting into? What plan was it? How confident was he onto that plan? And then definitely something which is prospective. Prospective is, we were staying in a small town, and then it was going to Mumbai, and it is a prospective town. So how do you become more aspirational as a thought process? And that's how every father should be thinking of.
So, जब आपकी printing press चल रही थी, you were also a salaried employee, right? Where were you working? What were you doing? और side में क्या दिमाग में चल रहा था? And walk us through that journey where being, working for someone else, and then what was the idea behind starting something of your own? And then how did you decide कि इस industry में शुरू करूँगा? और ये कब की बात है? Printing press से कैसे आपका evolve हुआ job में?
I mean, after the printing press, because while I was operating the printing press, the partner which used to work with me, he was also a relative. He started doing something of his own, and wherein I was able to see some kind of bottleneck in my growth.
ठीक है.
And somewhere I was not able to convince him for my exit and my doing something else. So it was becoming a bottleneck for me, or a ceiling for me. That's what was the realization that I had, and I was kind of getting uncomfortable in that particular realization. I was for a period of 2 or 2.5 years, I didn't see any growth in my turnover and business. So some of those triggers actually helped me to start
Thinking कि कुछ और करना पड़ेगा.
I don't know thinking, but yeah, I was definitely not satisfied with my business. And whenever you have to, unless until you don't get satisfied, or if you are 100% satisfied with your existing piece, you
Then you
never
won't
innovate. You never leap. You never go out. You never think something different. And that's where one of my cousin who used to stay in Kolkata, he came in, and we were just having some chat, and we were out in some amusement park in SL World, and suddenly we were discussing on certain things on कि कलकत्ता में ऐसा कोई park नहीं है. Why can't we set up something like that? And he was saying it will be great fun. It is going to be very good. People going to be super hit there. And I said, why don't you do it? He said, I don't know. I mean, do you want to come, and we can do it together? And then that's where we had a long chat the entire night, and then I decided that I'm going to Kolkata. I'm winding up this business, giving it back to my partner, and moving to Kolkata. And that was the day. And then within 15 days, I packed up and I moved to Kolkata. And so I think once again it's all about that youthfulness and that ability to take those fearless decisions.
फियर में जा रहा हूँ, अब कोलकाता में नया ये शुरू करेंगे.
Yes. So I think something, and then it's just not you. It is an integration or synchronicity of multiple things which happens, and you do it, and because you got some goal, some objective, and something to do, something to create, and that which excites you, which excited me. This is something that I can create, something that we can create. And I didn't know anything about park. I didn't know anything about construction. I didn't know anything about
water filtration system and other things.
System or anything. I was in the printing press. I was a part of Taylor's shop. I didn't know anything. But yeah. So we moved it, and there was already a retail store also which was getting operated there. We also thought of the same time. We thought of that we'll make multiple store there, one or two more stores, so that so simultaneously both the stuff started. I went there thinking that I'm a partner, and now that I'm a salaried one. But yeah, I started with a salary that the minimum commitment and the minimum cost can be covered, and that's how I started. But yeah, and then we built. We had a lot of struggle. We got into a lot of struggle in finding the place, land, and then taking the permissions and building this park, and finding a way out of the compliances or the ecosystem, the kind of lawlessness situation that Bengal would have at that point of time, and all of those. And we finally made it. We finally made that park operational. That was the first water park of East India, and that was the fastest park that one can build. And with a lot of learning, a lot of skill, a lot of enthusiasm, I think those are some times which you can't repeat, and those are some the age at which you could have done that. You've done that.
How old were you back then?
I was 29.
And आपको, you're coming from a very different field. कुछ भी नहीं पता कि water park कैसे होता है, क्या होता है. And what were some stories? What was the biggest challenge? जैसे आपने बताया lawlessness. Were you in a situation जहाँ पर आपको कुछ करना है, सही करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, लेकिन everything is opposite?
However, see, the land that we identified was a land where we didn't have any road, where we didn't have any electricity, where we didn't have any kind of, I would say, any kind of ecosystem of law also. This police station was like 10 kilometers away. And we started work there. And all of these places normally in Bengal used to, at that point of time, used to be a little more rowdy place, more communism at that point of time, a little more. So people of that area would not accept it, and there were goons, and there were people who disturb you. They would ask for certain kind of money before you start the work. They'll ask for certain kind of commitments from you. So some of those pieces, I think we started the work. I think we faced almost 3 dacoities.
Oh my God.
Almost 3 dacoities with more than 50 people carrying arms. And
they just came, हम लेके आपके वहाँ पर आ गए. क्या करना था? What was the story, sir?
So I mean, they would come. They would take away your building equipments, and they'll take away your machineries. They will take away they hate your people. They'll harm your people. And we had to then. Once the recovery was happening, when we were building the road, it was a stretch of almost 5 kilometers. We had to build that road because the people would have to come.
Government नहीं बना रही थी, आपको बनाया.
Government नहीं बना रही थी, तो हम बना रहे थे. And they attacked us while we were building the road at night, 1 o'clock. There was a call coming in at my home that some bachalo hame. And it was a panic call, and we immediately walked up, and at 1:30 at night, I took out the car, and everyone in the house said, "No, you can't go. It's a risky place, and they can attack you." I said, "No, we'll have to go and help them." And we went out at 2 o'clock. We picked the two, 3 boys. Their legs were injured, their hands were injured. It was bleeding, and then we took them to the hospital. And it was a story, and definitely those were the very fearful moments, and those were it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare for all of us, and it was looking so difficult. That how are we going to operate? How are we going to complete the construction? How are we going to then? How will people come here? How will we take the risk of managing them? But we still went on. We still went on. We met all the DIG and the IGs, and we met the ministers, but yeah, I don't think we got a lot of support. But yeah, I think the whole comfort was that yes, because we have reported in all of those places, we'll get some security and stuff. But yeah, I think life has to move on. Life has to move on. Both the ways. You have to complain, but you have to also negotiate. You have to also try and sit down with those people, trying to find a solution, or how do you work out. And there's some solution that we agreed with those people, and then we
those people, the goons or the
even the goons,
Okay.
even the goons. We gave them some employment, we gave them some work, and we gave them our security. You will be in charge of the security. Because they were the people who for whom we had to have security. So we gave them the security.
और लोग कुत्ते को जलेबी की रक्षा करने के लिए आपको बोल दिया.
So when you make them responsible for what they are the creators of, and you solve the problem. And
वो उधर क्लास में जो सबसे शिशान बच्चा होता है उसको कई बार मॉनिटर बना देते. तो वैसा आपने करा.
Yeah.
Okay.
So some of those things, some of those learnings, and then how do you make relationship with them? How do you really get into them? Because you can't be diplomatic in getting into them. You have to become like them. You have to spend time with them. Maybe at times you have to drink with them. Maybe at times you have to have pistols and shoot along with them. In some practice sessions and stuff.
Right.
So you have to engage with them so that they feel comfortable as well. Even they need to trust you, that you are not going to harm them, and actually meaning it. And that's how we built that relationship even there, because we saw that it is very difficult, apart from having a very good relationship with them, to just rely on the police force, or just rely on the government to do something for us. It was little aloof and a little different away. So that's how things became, and then that's the multiple things, not only of those, but also of permissions, or taking those approvals from the authorities, or even without power, without electricity, we operated almost 1.5-2 years without electricity. So we used to, because the whole objective was to do it by hook or by crook. We need to start it. करना है कैसे भी, कुछ भी कर लो, start करना है बस. जो भी अड़चने आ जाए, इसको ठीक कर दो, फिर वापस स्टार्ट कर लो, इसको भी ठीक कर दो, इसको स्टार्ट, ये नहीं हो रहा है तो इसका सॉल्यूशन कर लो, ये नहीं हो रहा तो उसका सॉल्यूशन करो. एंड दैट्स हाउ अ स्टार्टअप वर्क्स, एंड दैट्स हाउ यू थिंक. You just can't put your pen down and say, Ross, ये तो नहीं हुआ, छोड़ दो, let's leave it, let's dissolve it. It doesn't happen. So if you are relentless on your pursuit, if you are persistent on what you are doing, if you have a belief on what you are doing, and if you know that the objective is right, the purpose is right, and you know that it is going to come out very well, and it is going to, these are all temporary blockages and temporary bottlenecks and temporary hurdles which are there. Just to cross over those hurdles, you'll get a success. Your success is right there. That's the feeling that we had, and that's the excitement that we had, which made it happen.
और सर, जब आपने वाटर पार्क बनाया तो आपने ऐसा सोचा कि मैं इसको कंटिन्यू करता हूँ, ऐसे ही वाटर पार्क मैं और भी जगह बनाऊंगा, इसको स्केल करना?
नहीं, ऐसा हमने नहीं सोचा था. हमारे पास इतना कैपिटल था. My cousin who was along with me, who was a senior partner also, and he also very fearless in me. Because of him, we were able to do. But yeah, at that point of time, it was just this one, because ये हम इतनी बुद्धि नहीं होती. ये एक ही बहुत बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट था हमारी, बियॉन्ड आवर कैपेसिटी. जितनी बड़ी चादर थी उससे ज़्यादा पैर निकाल रहे थे हम. And it was not that we were actually prepared for all of those. It is something which started coming in, and we started investing onto it. It started coming in, and there was something else which was earning, and then we were getting those funds, and we were able to do it. So I think it was not that we had a lot of resources and we did it. We also didn't have any engineer or any architect on the site. It was all one architect was based out of Ahmedabad. We used to send the drawings, and we used to just consult and ask and understand, and then I was the one who used to drive it. And so we took out the project at a very, very high prudence, and very, 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 very high level of prudence. That's how you were able to manage with those capital. Otherwise, getting into a water park with the kind of capital that we had was something impossible to think.
कैसे करा था? How did you manage the capital? क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोगों को अगर if somebody is coming from a well-to-do family, they have capital problem. They don't have capital problem. They can start things. But you had initial days में how did you figure कि यार ऐसे इतने कम पैसे में हम इतना बड़ा water park बना लेंगे? How did you leverage things for you?
No, I think so. There was that retail store which was a continuous flow of cash, and we worked on that as well parallelly.
This was the Vishal.
Yeah, Vishal Megabart.
Huh.
So it was called Vishal Garment at point of time, and that was one shop which was giving good sales, and everyone else were very into the business. Even after doing all of this work of construction in the morning, we used to once again go in the evening to the shop, sit down there, work for the shop as well as for this park.
दुकान से जो भी पैसा आता था उसको आप यहाँ पर डिप्लॉय करते थे.
And then we also opened another shop because for which I also had planned before coming from Mumbai. So that store also we were able to do. That's also a story.
What was the story? Please tell that.
They were we identified a place which had like 100 trees. It was a farm for someone, and we identified this is a great place and this is a great location. But this guy is very big. He was a big shot of Kolkata, and he was a rich man. He would not give me those place, and we somehow managed to reach to him, convinced him. He said that I'm not going to do anything. I'll give you the place as it is. If you can build this and do it, operate, I'm okay. You have to pay me so much of rent. I'm okay.
Okay.
It's your responsibility. You have to do it. And there were like 100 trees on that. The day we got the permission, and we were so excited.
ये अब खो जाएगा.
We were so excited. Now, how do you do it? And so we our existing store employee, we brought them. We asked more people to come in. The same night, we started cutting the trees. The same night, we started cutting the trees, and there were trees which were big, with huge log and bigger trees. And we got all the machines and to cut, and there's knives and there's axe, and we started cutting the tree. Almost at like 3:30 in the morning, a police van comes, and the policeman and the police station in charge who comes, and he says, "Who is this? Who is doing it?" And we all said, "Whatever. Don't you know that you can't cut trees? It's a crime. It's a crime. So if you cut the trees, now come with me." And we went to the police station, and my brother, he was in the jail. And then the whole night he spent there, and we had to then bail him out after one day. So that was another experience, and then that was the story which made this happen. And then तो कट तो गया, लकड़ी तो कट गया,
अब कुछ नहीं कर सकते.
कुछ नहीं कर सकते, अब तो जेल ही दे सकते हैं, केस चल सकता है. So वो चला फिर केस, but yeah, we built that premises, we built a shed. We attend there also. Then also we had a big fight with the MLA there, and it was a lot of problems. But still we were able to manage that as well. And when we built it, it was a great response. It was also a cash cow, so it started also giving us cash. And that's how we also getting some more input into the capital for the motor park construction. And then it was also some amount of loan that we took. So all of those help. When you work, the entire ecosystem comes and help you, as I said.
एक चीज सर, इसमें एक ट्रेंड आ रहा है. आप कभी भी थैंक यू सो मच सर. आप पीछे कोई देख मैं लेता हूँ. आपके वाटर पार्क बिजनेस में भी आपने बताया कि जब आप वहाँ पर रहे थे तो आपने आईडी और इन सारे लोगों को बात करने की कोशिश करी. यहाँ पर भी जब भी हम कोई भी नया काम करते हैं लोकली, तो हमको लोकल इकोसिस्टम का सपोर्ट चाहिए होता है. वी नीड द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन टू सपोर्ट अस, एंड देन you have to convert those whatever things you have no relationship or you have a relationship, you have to convert those in your favor, right? And you mentioned कि आपके MLA के साथ fight हो गई थी. How difficult it is to run something, to run a business without having their support, and how do you get their support? How did you garner their support कि यार हम ये काम करेंगे? And what did you learn with the fight from the MLA कि अब अगली बार नहीं करेंगे तो कैसे करेंगे?
The only point here I would say that you don't need support. Definitely, you need to at times bring their attention. You need to at times bring their attention for your favor, or negate or turn them away from a negative favor.
How do you
turn
do
them
that?
away? So it's all about. I mean, see, one is persistence, because I before this, for searching the land also, we had to like go 100 times to a minister's house. Every morning we would go, we sit down there, we'll stand there, we'll go. Every morning 6 o'clock, we'll just both the brothers we go wash our face and go to that particular minister's house, and we'll wait till he wakes up, and then he sees us, and then he will fire us. He'll be angry. क्यों आ रहे हो हमारे पास? क्यों आ रहे हो ऐसे? And then so you have to keep that belief system very very high, and you have to just keep going and doing it. कि यार जाओ लगो करते रहो, मिलो, मिलने से कुछ तो कुछ होगा, मिलने से कोई, because anyone who is an authority, anyone who is reached a certain level, they have certain wisdom, they have certain genuinity, they have certain attitude, and they also have ego. So how do you manage their ego? How do you convince them? How do you make your point right? How do you motivate them? How do you make them believe that you are not genuine, you are not bad? And how do you really give an explanation about the situation? At times we fear, or at times we shy. At times we are lazy enough to meet. At times we have preconceived notion on things that it won't work. वो तो कुछ नहीं करेगा, वहाँ तो कुछ नहीं होगा, अरे पता है वो ऐसे बोल दिया था, वो तो बोला चले जाओ, भाग जाओ ऐसे, वो मारेगा, दोबारा जाएंगे तो मारेगा. So people would have those preconceived notions, and we would also have that, but we went to overcome that. We surpassed all of those. We said, okay, कुछ नहीं करेगा, क्या करेगा, क्या होगा,
गोली थोड़ी मार देगा.
हाँ, गोली थोड़ी मार देगा. तो जाते हैं ना, फिर देखेगा, फिर मानेगा, देखेगा, मानेगा. तो I think there were some relentless of such moments, which as I'm speaking, I remember.
एक दो इंसिडेंट्स जैसे आपने बोला, you have to manage their egos, you have to convince them. ऐसा कोई conversation that
सारे कन्वर्सेशन में, चाहे वो गूंद के साथ हो, चाहे वो आप मिनिस्टर के साथ हो, चाहे वो एमएलए के साथ हो, चाहे वो आप आईजी से मिलने जाओ, चाहे आप पुलिस इंस्पेक्टर से मिलने जाओ, चाहे आपको टैक्स ऑफिसर से मिलो, सारे कन्वर्सेशन में you have to there will be always heated arguments, there will be always lows that you will find, you will see those lows coming in कि यार वो तो मतलब अब कुछ नहीं करेगा, अब तो आपको अरेस्ट ही कर लेगा, या वो तो आपके साथ बात भी नहीं करेगा, वो तो हम दोबारा देखने भी नहीं जाएंगे. तो but still you have to keep continuing those spaces. You have to somewhere a little in two words that you are able to speak, or in 2-3 lines that you are able to speak, you have to make up that particular word in certain ways that it reaches him. It reaches him, and then I think every human has a human. So you need to touch that human part of us, and that's what works for you. And then with any kind of person, whether it's an authority or it's not an authority, or even if it's a vendor or it's a customer or it's a employee for you, in all those senses, you have to be always humble. You have to be always open in your mindset to understand and to take whatever comes in your way.
Right. So you started Vishal Megapart, this company, you worked with that, and later you kind of chose कि अब मैं कुछ करूँगा. What was the learning? You may not tell us कि what was the misunderstanding, the stuff, but what was your learning? What was your biggest learning from that time, from that separation? Because many people don't know कि Vishal Megapart was also, you were one of the leading person in there, and then you think यार मैं खुद अपना शुरू करूँगा. What was the learning that you want young folks to learn from that incident?
No, I think you definitely have to align, partner, incubate together, work together to try and reach together, because the goal is so important at that point of time. The team is so important at that time, and the team ego is so important at the time, that you actually go all out to work for that. And at that point of time, either what happens is either you get a little more clearer on your relationship, a little more clearer on your partnership, a little more stuff which is very very very, very clear, and you have a very clear way forward. And most of them do. But because I was so passionate, I was so into the thought of building something, I actually we didn't had a clear discussion on clear agreement or clear written down agreements. before the start of the work. So some of those learnings I think could have helped me. But yeah, some of those learning could have also made it
Harder
at that point
to
of time not able to create it. हो सकता है उस समय जब कुछ बात होती तो शायद ऐसी arrangement नहीं हो पाती, and you would have actually not created it. So ultimately the biggest learning is whatever happens for good. So there's nothing which is wrong.
Right.
There's nothing which on a hindsight you always see that it is wrong. But on the positive side, on the optimism side, if you see you learned out of it, and there's some experience that you're gaining. Now, how do you use that experience? And that's what we did, and that's what I did. And definitely when I happen to understand and get convinced that there's not too many the things that which are panning out is below my expectation, and things which are going ahead is not something which I was aiming for. I saw it as an opportunity. I said, okay, that's great. And then it's good that I've come to know, and now let me explore. This is once again the start of the whole journey. Let's see what can happen. Let's take one bet. Let's take one more bet. And I think it's only about that moment. It is not. You will call it. Was it very well planned? Maybe not. Once I planned, but I failed in between. I mean, finally, before I left, there was also one stint in between where I planned to leave and I planned to do something else, but I failed. I came back.
क्या करा था आपने? क्या शुरुआत करा था?
मैं गया था, बाहर निकला था 15-20 दिन के लिए, and I was trying to search for some shop, and I was trying to establish another retail chain, but it didn't work out.
What happened? What went wrong?
Maybe I scouted for places. I went to things. I didn't have that. I couldn't gather that kind of confidence. I couldn't gather those kind of learning. So that's where I was not able to hold my emotions so strong. And at the same time, we had some compromise, and I came back. But there are moments when you decide, and there were maybe my younger brother who came along with me. He said that I will also be a part of it. I'll move with you. I'll go with you. So some of those things started happening, and that made it happen. But yeah, largely the learning from here is also that if you are a part of the system, which you feel is not the right place for you, don't delay. Rather take action as fast as you can, and be confident of what you have learned. Definitely have enough learning. If you are responsible for certain areas, take it as if you are an owner to that particular job. And if you feel that you are an owner and the entire responsibility is yours, I think your learning level improves a lot, and that learning goes deep inside you, and you are able to create the great outcome, but also a great outcome for yourself, which helps you in taking your own decisions also at times.
I was delving into a contract with someone, and that was a respected person. Respected in the sense that we had some level of relationship before that. And ऐसा बहुत सारे लोगों के साथ होता है कि वो अपने दोस्तों के साथ या अपने ब्रदर्स के साथ, अपने फैमिली के साथ कोई चीज़ शुरू करना चाहते हैं, और फिर एक दिल में ऐसा रहता है कि चलो एक वर्बल एग्रीमेंट, हम सबको लगता है कि ठीक है हो जाएगा, एक वर्बल एग्रीमेंट रहता है, लेकिन जब उस चीज़ को पेपर पे उतारने की बात होती है तो ऐसा बहुत अजीब सा लगता है कि यार इतनी कॉमन बात हम पेपर में लिखेंगे तो वो इट्स हार्मफुल फॉर द रिलेशनशिप. व्हाट्स योर एडवाइस फॉर दैट?
I think it is always advisable to be more clearer. It is always advisable to be a little more transparent, little more documented. It is better to exchange a note, sign off on a piece of paper. Would be a tissue paper, but at least you have something to hold each other accountable. Otherwise, at times words can be minced. Words can't be remembered. So people, नहीं तुमने तो ऐसा बोला था, नहीं मैंने ऐसे बोला था बट ऐसा नहीं बोला था, मैंने ऐसा बोला था बट ऐसा नहीं, ऐसा हुआ था, ये होने पे ये होता, तो तू बताना ऐसे थोड़ी होता है, बिकॉज मैंने तो पैसे लगाए हैं या मैंने तो ये लगाया है, मेरा तो ये चल रहा था. So people have their own ways of thinking, and everyone would want to think in favor of their own career, in favor of their own
interest,
benefit.
Yeah.
So and that is okay. That's fair. I mean, you can't call it unfair,
right?
But it's all perception. It's all perception. There are people who are fair to a certain degree, and there are people who are fair to a degree of what they perceive to be fair.
Right.
You can't call it unfair, but it is, yeah. But for a person who had some other expectation, but you have something in your mind, but you are not able to openly write it down or express that with certain words and certain percentage, then it becomes very, very difficult to convince each other afterwards. After things have been created, it becomes very, very difficult. So it is better to have clarity right before entering into the contract or any kind of arrangement.
Makes sense. You decided to move on from Vishal and you started कि अब मैं खुद करूँगा. आपके पास उस समय कितना कैपिटल था और how did you figure the first store कि यार मैं ये अपना स्टोर यहाँ पर खोलूँगा, और how did you figure कि मैं ये चीज़ें इसमें बेचूँगा?
No, I think I was already into that business now. So already the chain of store of Vishal Mega Mart was.
कितने स्टोर थे तब?
Vishal had almost 21 stores.
हाँ.
So when I decided to move out, and so already the experience was there. It happened to be a holiday where I was along with my younger brother, my own brother, and he's one of his friends. We had gone to Uttarakhand for a holiday, and there in Uttarakhand we were just chatting, and the brother's friend was from Gujarat, and he said that you should also open up a store in Gujarat. There's a lot of potential in my town. He was from Rajkot in Gujarat, and I said, ठीक है ना, जाके देख के बताओ कोई जगह मिलती है तो we'll see. So I told my younger brother, तुम भी इनके साथ जाओ एक बार देख के आओ. So they both went, and they didn't find a place in Rajkot. But when they came back, they were in Ahmedabad, and they called me from Ahmedabad saying that, okay, there is a place that looks good, interesting. Do you want to come here and then see? I said, I was so busy, but yeah, I'll take out time on Sunday evening. I took a midnight flight and went there. I saw the place. I liked the place so much.
क्या दिखा ऐसा कि आपको प्यार हो गया जगह से?
So every location has certain vibes, and every market has certain vibes. And I saw the place. It was looking very perfect. It was looking great to create that as a launch pad for my venture.
Was there any unique quality about that place कि ऐसा कॉर्नर पे शॉप है, spacing है, ऐसा कुछ है, लगा कि यार ये बहुत अच्छी वाइब है?
It is always the right location is the best location. You have a big frontage. You have the big market beside that store. You have a good store at the front. You have some stores on the other lane, and it is at the cross section of a road where you got multiple divisions of multiple roads which are going in. So it was on the Chaurasta. It was right on the corner building. It was a famous building of the city. The landlords were great, and it was coming out as a on a good rental. It was coming out as a great business plan. So the whole calculation was coming that the kind of rentals that we would be paying and the kind of business that we could get, it was very, very convincing that it is going to be a
profitable.
Yeah, profitable, and maybe able to come out of our investments within 2 years. And that's how the calculation went about. But yeah, there was a challenge that how will we make such an investment? Because the investment required was almost
कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए था?
उस समय मुझे याद आ रहा है अराउंड 1.2 करोड़ रुपीस का इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए था, एंड आई हैड लाइक 40 लाख ऑफ रुपीस विद मी,
जो आपने पहले अपने सेव कर रखे थे.
या बिकॉज आई वाज सेविंग फ्रॉम द वर्क दैट वी वर डूइंग विद विशाल एंड वाटर पार्क. तो वहाँ भी मैं कुछ ड्रॉ करता था सेविंग, एंड आई हैड समथिंग फ्रॉम मुंबई व्हिच आई हैड सेव्ड, व्हिच आई इन्वेस्टेड प्रिंटिंग प्रेस. So some, and then I also asked some more help from my father at that point of time. So altogether we had 41 lakhs, and then I was able to convince one of my relative who said that okay, I'll be also the investor, and I'll also come along with you. So then we invested and we took some loan, and then we launched the store.
And how did you figure out कि आपको मैं इतनी इक्विटी दूंगा, मैं इतनी इक्विटी रखूंगा? What was the insight there?
I think I was right from the day one. I was very clear that equity तो मैं नहीं रखूंगा. I'll pay you certain returns on those rupee. So I did not give them the equity right from the day one.
Was this the right decision?
Yeah, that's how. At that point of time, yes. Okay. Otherwise, you would have been almost parting almost 50% of the equity or from the was other equity at that point of time.
Right.
So I made an arrangement which made them earn more than what they would have earned in an interest rate.
What was that arrangement?
It was a turnover based arrangement with a minimum guarantee.
Okay.
Wherein I told them, as a partner, even if you are a partner, the kind of turnover that we will get, this is the kind of profit that you will make. If the 50% of the profit is equal to this percentage of sales, so better take this percentage of sales from me. So that's the calculation that we did, and we gave them out. So, and then similarly, we had multiple other investors also of such kind, where we gave them this kind of arrangement, where we did not give them equity, but we gave them a percentage commission, like a franchisee cost.
और कितना percentage आप उनको देते थे?
We used to pay 3% on the revenue.
जितना भी स्टोर करेगा उतना आपको और till what time till you recover your money back?
No, till the time the money is invested into the business.
Okay. And when was the time कि अगर आपको लगे कि अब मुझे आपका मनी निकालना है तो how was the arrangement then?
Definitely these were long-term deals. जहाँ पर money निकालने से you have to pay some penalty as well.
Okay.
Because business अच्छा कर गया तो आप पैसा वापस दे दोगे और किसी से सस्ता पैसा ले लोगे. So they also made it clear that it was either you keep it, if you're keeping it, you have to keep it for long term, unless until we want it. And so there were some times when they they had some problems, so they wanted some cash, and so we had to return back. So when we returned back, it's shocked.
बहुत सारे लोग जो पहली चीज शुरुआत करते हैं तो उसमें बहुत सारे कैलकुलेशंस होते हैं. तो वॉक अस थ्रू जितना भी आपको याद आता है उस कैलकुलेशन की कि आपको 1.25 करोड़ आपको चाहिए थे, आपने वो अरेंज करे. उसके बाद अपना बेसिक जो कॉस्ट होती है वो अपने को पता होती है कि मेरा इतना रेंट जाएगा, मुझे इतना सामान लगाना पड़ेगा. लेकिन हाउ डू यू कैलकुलेट क्या मेरी इतनी सेल हो जाएगी, जहाँ पर आपने कभी भी कुछ शुरुआत ही नहीं करा कि इतना मेरा वॉक इन होगा, मैं इतना बेच दूंगा और इतने 2 साल के अंदर मैं प्रॉफिटेबल हो जाऊंगा. वो कैलकुलेशन क्या होता है?
See, it's that gut feel that an entrepreneur should have. If he is into that business, if he has seen certain shops running, if he knows this is the kind of location where you can expect such kind of footfall, which means so many footfall means so many bills, which will get converted into, and so many bills means so much of revenue, so much of revenue means so much of gross profits, and then that gross profits minus those expense number 1, expense number 2, expense number 3, expense number 4, which are fixed in nature. So up to this revenue and this profitability, with these expenses, this is the kind of EBITDA that you break even. This is the break even point, beyond which is your income. If you are able to, if below the break even, this is where you have to then compromise on your expenses.
Right.
Or you have to close down.
Right.
So there are those business plans that you build, and every store that we do even today gets that kind of plan. Not that every time you are perfect. You have to guess. It's all about your assumptions. It's all about your forecast. It's all about your process of bettering it. It's all about your own gut feel on understanding the place, your data that you collect from the area, your data that you collect from the competitor. And that's how you are able to perceive and foresee a kind of revenue that can come in. So you have to also know what you are selling. How are you standing in terms of the market differentiator, in terms of the acceptance of the product, in terms of the understanding of the customer, in terms of what customers are around in that area, what is your product, and how does that get tied up, and how does it become unique to that particular audience which is out there. What is the gap in the market? Are you giving certain differentiated element from that gap? And that's how you create the differentiator which makes it happen.
And what was the differentiator for you for the first store that you opened? What were you thinking कि यार ऐसा करेंगे, ये अलग चीज करेंगे, ये गैप दिख रहा है?
I think very clear gap was providing value clothing at a very, very affordable cost. In the ambience which a store like Pantaloon or a West Side would provide, because there was an existing store of Pantaloon in the West Side just beside that store. Whom we considered at that point of time was premium. They were premium store, and even today they are premium.
Right.
From that perspective, and that is the clear differentiator that we thought was यार दो बगल में दुकानें हैं who are aggressively targeting a certain per capita income group. Not everyone could buy from there. Right. There is a lot of people that I can see around in this area who are coming out there for Bhel Puri chaat and park and everything was there, and you can see those crowds right there.
लेकिन वो खरीद नहीं पाए.
Who we knew are people who have comes in 2 bikes, 2 wheelers and then who are earning between 15,000 and 12,000. तो वो तो उतना afford नहीं कर पाएगा. If we are able to provide some product like them, ambience like them, with similar size of store, definitely we will give a unique experience in this market where no one is giving. There are markets in Ahmedabad which are kind of smaller market, bazaar type, who are kind of giving those products maybe at value, but not at this kind of environment. So the gap was very clearly that value retail can be done in an organized environment, and how could we deliver them?
तो इसमें tier 3, tier 2, tier 4 जो मार्केट होता है सर, it's very very tough to crack, and you were able to make it profitable. वो how did you manage? Because आज जितना भी बिजनेस होता है, they try to, you know, हमारी जैसे इंडिया 80% लोग 25,000 रुपए से नीचे कमाते हैं, और ज़्यादातर लोग, you know, it's like a diamond structure, and most of the people try to figure out कि हम जो top 1% जनता है, जो हमारी इकोनॉमी का एक मतलब 33% देती है, हम उनको केटर करते हैं. बट यू हैड अ काउंटर इंट्यूटिव मूव कि हम बिल्कुल सेकंड टियर, थर्ड टियर और फोर्थ टियर को हम वैल्यू प्रोवाइड करेंगे, जहाँ पर पैसा बनाना मुश्किल है, एंड दैट टू प्रॉफिटेबली. हाउ डू यू डू दैट? Because people, the big people with, you know, deep pockets are not able to crack that market, but you did. How? What did you do in order to crack this thing?
Well, I think we didn't do a lot. I think we cracked the model saying that, okay, this is the need. This is the kind of value that is affordable. This is the kind of product which is required by these people. And this is the kind of ambience that is unique to this particular area. And this is the kind of value systems that we have, wherein we have an integrity to give great quality, and we will not fool the customers. And the core belief that everyone who lives on this earth consumes. And in case of apparel, they will consume 2 pair of clothes a year.
बिल्कुल.
तो चाहे वो कहीं भी रहता हो, गांव में रहता हो, देहात में रहता हो, शहर में रहता हो, छोटे शहर में रहता हो, बड़े शहर में रहता हो, तन तकने के लिए कपड़े तो चाहिए.
बिल्कुल.
तो जो चाहिए वो अब आज की डेट में एस्पिरेशन है, वैसे ही चाहिए.
बिल्कुल.
जो मुझे देखने हैं, जो मुझे पहनने हैं, वही चाहिए, अच्छा ही चाहिए. एंड वो अच्छा अगर आप दोगे तो इतनी जनता है यहाँ पर, ये जनता खरीदेगी. अगर आप उतना बड़ा रिस्क ले सकते हो, आप उतनी बड़ी एक शॉप बना सकते हो, तो लोग आएंगे और खरीदेंगे. तो डेफिनेटली some of those towns, when we first, I mean, Ahmedabad still is a tier 1 town, but when we went to smaller towns, we were very hesitant. We thought multiple number of times before taking those risks. But because of my background, where I came from Cuttack in Odisha, my father's shop, I had been there, I've stayed there, I've seen the customers' aspiration, I've seen the kind of potential that they have, I've seen the amount of people who are coming even from villages, the kind of aspirations they have, the kind of buy they do. I have interacted with them. I know what they want. I know what they have been feeling. So the level of confidence was very high. So the level of understanding was very in detail. The whole conviction was there. So all of that conviction actually helped me to take those risks, plan those kind of store in the right location so that I can get all the rural as well as urban population. Provide those kind of product which is customer centric, which is what customer understand as value. How do you make them feel smarter? How do you make them feel beautiful? How do you make them feel confident? That was the primary objective. And if you're able to do that, and without asking for any extra dollar from them, and I think that's doable, because there is definitely a market everywhere. Not the tier 2, tier 3 towns, tier 4 towns do not have a market. There is a market, there is a bazaar, there is a heart, there is a patri, which is always there. How do you convert all of those customers into a good ambience by not increasing their budget?
Right.
Not asking extra money for that comfort. So, and that has to be done through your own supply chain, your own values, your own process of a procurement. That's all.
एक चीज़ अगर कोई सक्सेसफुल हो जाती है सर, तो इतने सारे हमारी रिटेल चेन्स हैं इंडिया में जिनका एक लाला माइंडसेट हो जाता है कि मेरे पास पैसा आ रहा है, सब कुछ अच्छा चल रहा है, तो चलने देते हैं. एंड दे आर नॉट इन द हैबिट ऑफ स्केलिंग इट, बिकॉज जो सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम आती है रेलीगेशन की. उनको लगता है कि अगर मैं गले पे नहीं बैठूंगा तो देन कोई और को बिठाऊंगा तो वो चोरी कर लेगा, उसके बाद वो चीज़ नहीं आएगी. तो व्हाट वाज दैट माइंडसेट दैट यू वर हैविंग कि अब इसको स्केल करते हैं, एक लोकेशन हो गई, अब मैं दूसरी लोकेशन को करूंगा. और how did you manage to do that profitably? तो 2002 में जब आपने पहला स्टोर खोला था, कितना टाइम लग गया उस स्टोर को स्टेबल होने में, और फिर आपने कब सोचा कि अब मैं दूसरा स्टोर खोलूंगा, तीसरा स्टोर खोलूंगा और चौथा स्टोर खोलूंगा, एंड देन what was that story?
Yeah, I mean, see, most of the, even today, when I go back to Cuttack and see even a lot of places where we belong or we come in the fast, whichever market that we go, even today, 97% of the people are stick to what they are doing, are stick to the place their father used to operate, the brother used to operate. So they are around the same place and have that fear. Have a very, and it is definitely not very easy also to leave, because even when I used to operate my father's shop, cash was something which was always under me, always under our control. We used to operate the cash रखना, गल्ला में से निकालना, देना,
आप ही करोगे,
वो ये हम ही लोग करेंगे, बाकी सब बाकी के भी काम कर सकते हैं हम, वो ये तो हमें करना ही पड़ता है,
बिल्कुल,
तो ये एम्प्लॉय नहीं कर सकता था. So that's the kind of tradition of the culture that we have always also come from.
right?
You've seen that as a tradition. But yeah, I think technology has really changed a lot of ways. And your plan, your goal, your purpose that you want to not only do once, you want to do it multiple number of times. That gives you ideas, and not that you don't have too many people to learn from. There are people that you can learn from. There are processes that you can establish. There are people whom you can trust on. On the way you start getting people, you start getting those processes, you start getting technology, you start integrating technology. You have controls over the technology. So in our case, right from the day one, we started with an ERP. That was the first thing that we did.
क्योंकि वो आपने पहले भी लगा रखा होगा, तो you're saying कि first दिन से
या तो पहले दिन से ही हम टेक्नोलॉजी सिस्टम पे काम किए, पहले दिन से ही उसके अंदर हमने सब कुछ इनपुट किया है. द होल इन्वेंट्री वाज इन दैट सिस्टम, द होल बिलिंग वाज थ्रू बारकोड, and that was the starting point, because the whole purpose was not to just make one shop. The purpose was that you will have to make multiple shops. And that's what happened, I think. Within 6 months, we started. We got someone who wanted to invest with us. We searched for a place and we opened the second store, and within another 3 months, we opened the third store. And so within 2 years, we had 5 stores in the architect. So that's how we grew, and we started. Once the ball starts rolling, you have vendors, you have creditors, you have inventory, and you have that ball becomes bigger and bigger.
आपने क्यों सोचा कि हम फ्रेंचाइजी नहीं देते, हम कंपनी ओन्ड और कंपनी ऑपरेटेड रखेंगे? क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग सोचते हैं कि चलो एक हो गया, अब मैं फ्रेंचाइज देना शुरू कर देता हूँ, बिकॉज दैट्स स्केलेबल फॉर देयर बिजनेसेस, राइट? व्हाट वाज योर इनसाइट कि नहीं, हम विल कंट्रोल एवरीथिंग?
So at that point of time, you didn't knew all of this. What is franchisee? What is not? There was no franchisees at that point of time. You and people, you didn't had so much of business. You were not so big. Why would someone put so much of money on you?
राइट,
Why will someone invest on you?
क्योंकि ब्रांड तो अभी क्रिएट नहीं हो.
तो अभी इतना इजी होता नहीं है. एंड सबसे पहले समझना पड़ता है कि वॉट एवर स्पेंड दैट यू आर डूइंग in the process of making the product reach to the customer, all of that is a cost to the customer. All of that is a loading on the product. And any loading that you do on the product makes the value proposition weaker. So you have to always keep believing that whatever in the process you can manage direct is the best way doing it. Whatever intermediary that we start bringing in between is always a load to the customer.
Right.
And even if a franchisee cannot be as cheap as a rental, it has to be more than that. So and the franchisee would also charge for the risk that he takes or she takes. So that risk element itself becomes high. And if you don't have a belief, then only you want to pass on that risk to your franchisee.
Right.
But if you do have a belief and you have an available resource of investing, then why do you need a franchise?
So one thing that I have immense respect for is V-Mart is one of the organization which hires more than 10,000 employees. And other thing which is very simple, but drives me crazy, is that you are sitting with me right now here, but there are 400 other stores that are working for you while you are doing other stuff. How do you delegate that? And how is the organization structure evolved? तो सब आप जब पहले स्टोर से 4 स्टोर पे गए, 5 स्टोर पे गए, उसके बाद जब 10 स्टोर, 20 स्टोर, 15, 200, 400 स्टोर अभी जब हैं, हाउ इज द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्ट्रक्चर इवॉल्व? हाउ डू यू डेलीगेट स्टाफ? गिव अस दैट इनसाइट.
See,
And how do you control 10,000 people to work for you on the same vision? How do you align those?
I think it's not just you what you do. It is a team that you build. Why do you do it? Because you have one brain over your shoulder. You've got 2 hands. You've got 2 eyes. You've got a limited hours to work, and you've got limited potential to do. And you have limited brain and limited intelligence as well, which is confined to a particular degree and arena. You always have to believe that there's a lot more outside. You always have to believe that if you want to really achieve what you want to do, you need to trust on people. You need to find others. You need to always believe that there are people who can do work similar as you, who can do work better than you in certain areas, and who can also do work which is some degree lesser and little worse than you, but still there is a value to it. And there is something that can be achieved by getting them work along with you.
Thank you, sir.
So some of those key understanding and having a belief system, first of all, makes you believe in delegating, makes you believe in keeping people, having people to do something that you wish you could have done. So when you understand the kind of plan or the kind of goal that you have made and you break that down, you definitely realize that this is not something that can be only done by you.
Leverage
You definitely realize that there are more understanding or intelligent of other subjects that you also require. You don't know everything.
You can't be expert of all, so you have to hire
You
that.
can't do. You can't do. आप सब चीज़ तो नहीं जानते हो. आपको लगता है मैं जानता हूँ, but आप केवल जानते हो, आप expert नहीं हो उसके. Plus, you can only be at one point of time at one place. You can't be at all the places.
Right.
So that's how you start. You start
Thinking in those.
thinking in those lines, whether it is a maid coming into your house, or it is the first help that comes to your house, or a security guard that works for you, or a milkman that works for you, or you start looking at it from those angles, and then the first man or the second man and third man, and that's how you have that hierarchy, you have that structure. So similarly, when you've done one store, till the time you were able to manage the cash, you did it.
Right.
And there was some other work that you have delegated. You were always delegating. Even in a small shop that you were delegating something or the other, but to a limited area where you don't see a real financial risk,
ठीक है.
where you don't see a real decision making. So you delegate that first. And then what you do is you delegate the smaller decision makings. कि यार छोटे छोटे हैं, ये तो तू कर लेगा, ये तो तेरे को आता है, ये तो तू कर लेगा, तो तू वैसे से करना ये हो जाएगा, ऐसे से करना ये हो जाएगा. So that's how you start delegating the smaller ones. You still keep the bigger ones with you. You still keep the major ones with you. You still keep the financial ones with you. Directly जहाँ cash involved है, जहाँ finance involved है, जहाँ decision involved है, जहाँ capital investment involved है. So all of those decisions you kept with you till a certain level of time. When you saw that even those decisions needed more intelligence, even more time, even needed more energy, and then you realize that the calendar is not allowing you to take all those decisions. If you take them, either the decision get diluted, or
It will cost you आपकी opportunity cost.
yes, or there is an opportunity cost to it. So some of those realization, but the habit of an entrepreneur is always that he feels कि इसको कुछ आता नहीं है, इसको मैंने दिया था, इसने गलत किया, इसने नुकसान कर दिया, इसने ऐसा कर दिया, ये तो बर्बाद कर देगा, मेरी दुकानें बंद हो जाएगी.
डर लगता है.
So it is always that feeling that an entrepreneur generate, which is what is the insecurity, and a perception that you build, and a conviction also that you build at times. नहीं ये तो बहुत क्लियर है मेरे को, इन लोग से काम नहीं होगा, जो है मुझे ही करना पड़ेगा, ये सब हटाओ, बंद कर दो, इतना ही करेंगे जितना मुझे आता है, जितना मैं संभाल सकता हूँ, बाकी देखो. So at times you convince yourself and decide yourself. You don't explore. You don't leave that possibility. कि बॉस कुछ ना कुछ गड़बड़ हुआ है, मे बी आई एम नॉट डूइंग समथिंग which is required for him to work. I'm not training him enough. I'm not keeping the right resource. I'm not laying out the clear expectation. I'm not doing a clear process manual or whatever. You have to first of all look back into yourself. First, understand what all you can do and which are the areas that you can't afford to do. You don't have time. And then look at your calendar, arrange your calendar accordingly. Give out smaller areas which you think your value doesn't come out of on taking those decisions or working on those areas. तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि आपकी वैल्यू कितने की है, आप कितने के वर्थ हो. आपकी अगर सैलरी 50,000 रुपये महीना है, या आपकी सैलरी 1 लाख रुपये महीना है, या आपकी सैलरी 5 लाख रुपये महीना है, या आपकी सैलरी 10 लाख रुपये महीना है. इफ़ यू वुड हैव बीन वर्किंग फॉर अ कॉर्पोरेट, और आप अपने बिजनेस से भी कितने रुपये कमा रहे हो, तो आप अपनी वैल्यू भी निकालो उससे कि मेरी कॉस्ट और मेरी अर्निंग पर मंथ कितनी है, मेरी अर्निंग पर डे कितनी है, मेरी अर्निंग पर आवर कितनी है, एंड द काइंड ऑफ वर्क दैट आई एम डूइंग. If the kind of work that I am doing can be done by a person who is taking 10,000 rupees, can be done by a person who is doing 20,000 rupees, can be done by a person who is charging me 50,000 rupees, and I am actually worth for 5 lakh rupees, but I am spending my 5 lakh ka note
on a 10,000
rupee bill. So if you just compare that, the moment you realize कि यार मैं बेवकूफ़ हूँ क्या, ये काम तो ये 5,000 रुपये की जो मेड आती है कर लेगी,
तो मैं क्यों उसमें टाइम
लगाऊँ. जब मैं कैलकुलेट करूँगा तो मेरा वक्त अगर उतने में मैं कमा सकता हूँ और मुझे वो कॉन्फिडेंस है कि मैं कमा सकता हूँ, तो मैं उसको पर खर्च करूँगा. तो हर बार जब हम ट्रैवल करते थे तो ऐसा ही होता था. पहले एयरलाइंस की टिकट बहुत महंगी होती थी, तो हम कहते थे कि यार फ्लाइट से जाएँ, ट्रेन से जाएँ. ट्रेन से जाएंगे तो हमारे को 12 घंटा लगेगा, 14 घंटा लगेगा. 14 घंटे में अगर यहाँ रहेंगे तो कुछ कर लेंगे. नहीं यार, ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं है, रात को सो के जाना है, चलो सो के चले जाते हैं, पैसे भी बच जाएंगे, और रात को सोना ही है, घर पे सोएंगे, वहाँ सोएंगे, क्या फ़र्क पड़ता. तो आपने रात की ट्रेन ले ली और आप चले जाते थे. बट सडनली आपको आस्ते आस्ते रियलाइज होने लगा कि यार रात को भी जो आप जाते हो, दिन में भी आप जाते हो, तो आपका कुछ समय और ख़राब होता है, यहाँ नहीं रहते हो. तो एंड देन यू कैलकुलेट एंड देन यू मेक अ डिसीजन सेइंग दैट ओके यार, ये 4,000 रुपये फ्लाइट का ठीक है, ये इतने तो हम कमा लेंगे, इतने तो हमारे 1 घंटे से निकल जाएंगे. So that's how you start taking decisions on employee, you start delegating, you start making processes, you start believing, and you start training, and you have the patience. Otherwise, you don't have patience, you can't. Either you build a clone for yourself, यार मैं जैसे चाहता हूँ वैसे ही हो जाए, तब तो अपना क्लोन बना लो. अपनी मदर को बोलो बेटा मम्मी 2 और दे दे मेरे को भाई, और मैं, वो भी नहीं काम करेगा आपके साथ. और you have to accommodate, adjust, and have certain kind of expectation management, wherein you can't expect what you can do. You can expect a part of what you can do. So always the expectation has to be managed well. The clarity on that every person is not a human man, a superhuman, and you can't, even if given to you, you are mentally thinking that I can do all of this, but maybe you will also make decisions. You will also make wrong decisions, and those wrong decisions at times hurt you. So I think it's all about that, and then ultimately understanding and then creating a hierarchy, and then also managing your own expectation on what can you do. And then even if your brain understands, but your habit is so addictive that you don't realize that you are not understanding it. Your brain is sharp enough to understand, but your habit does not allow you to understand.
Give us an example.
I mean, you know कि यार ये मैं नहीं कर सकता हूँ, और इतने सारे काम मैं करूँगा मुश्किल हो जाएगी, और लेकिन हैबिट बोलती है कि नहीं तू ये डिसीजन मत लेना, तुम मेरे पास क्यों नहीं लेके आया, मुझे बताओ, मुझे दिखाओ, सैंपल ये मुझे दिखाओ, ये मेरे को भी दिखा कैसे पास कर दिया, ये तो तुमने गलत मान ले लिया, ये तो 100 रुपये की नहीं, ये तो 90 रुपये में मिल जाती. So you have that habit, and you will always call for that. So what will happen is the person whom you delegated, he will always feel कि यार बॉस के पास ले जाओ, क्यों फिर जाओ ले लूँगा, फिर माथापच्ची करेगा वो, फिर जाओ ले जाते हैं, वो बता देगा, उसको मालूम है वो ज़्यादा होशियार है मेरे से. He will always feel कि यार वो ले जाते हैं, जो बॉस बोलेगा वो कर दूंगा. He will always keep waiting for you, and he will not apply his own brain. He will always feel that the boss is right, and he has a shortcut. कि मेरे को क्या करना है, मेरे को मेरी सैलरी मिल रही है, मैं जाऊँ बॉस को बोलता हूँ, बॉस बता देगा, उतने में खरीद लूँगा, वो चीज़ खरीद लूँगा. So you have to allow them to take the risk. You have to have that capability where you feel that whatever risk that they take is the risk that is affordable. And then they will take some wrong decisions. They will have to realize that they have taken the wrong decision. they have to learn from those decisions and then they take the right decisions. जब बच्चा भी जब पहली बार चलना सीखता है तो माँ बाप को बड़ा प्यार होता है, वो छोड़ते नहीं है। और बच्चे को जब हाथ पकड़े चलाते हैं, और जब तक बच्चे को छोड़ते नहीं है तो बच्चा पूरा चलना सीखता नहीं है। जब चलना सीखता है तो गिरता है, उसके नीज छीलते हैं, उसके को दर्द होता है, माँ बाप को भी दर्द होता है, उसको भी दर्द होता है। बट अगर माँ बाप छोड़ेंगे नहीं तो बच्चा कभी सीखता चलना सीखेगा नहीं। दैट्स द इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट, दैट यू हैव टू मेक देम वॉक बाय देमसेल्फ, hurt them, make them fall down, make them hurt, and then they realize that बहुत ऐसे चलने से तो लग जाएगी, मेरे को ऐसे चल रहा है। And that's the way that people get eligible also to get delegated.
This is अभी तक की बहुत सारी आपने अच्छी बात बताई, लेकिन ये जो इंसाइट है ना दो, कि there are two types of people. Number one, who spend their time to just save some money, and then there are other people who spend money to save their time. And as soon as you realize that you want to be in the later part, you know, your mindset has changed. Second thing, that the art of delegation. Until and unless you don't allow them to take risk and learn from this risk, they will never ever going to apply their main and, you know, automate that process for you.
Yeah.
It's so insightful.
But definitely you have to see, you have to look for attitude. Okay, there may be people who don't have an attitude, who don't realize कि यार मैंने गलती कर दी,
हाँ,
मेरे को करेक्ट ही नहीं करना है, मैं जब हूँ जैसा हूँ, तो फिर तो आपको डिसीजन लेने पड़ेंगे।
बिल्कुल। एंड यू हैव टू रिकॉग्नाइज, यार ये बंदा,
तो एटीट्यूड जरूरी है देखना।
वो कैसे देखते हो, कैसे पता चलता है?
कुछ तो गट फील भी आपको अपनी अप्लाई करनी पड़ेगी, बिकॉज यू पास थ्रू, यू मे फेल। कुछ हर लोग आपको कुछ सिखा के जाते हैं, हर इंसान जो आता है आपके साथ काम करता है वो भी आपको कुछ सिखा के जाता है कि राइट क्या है, रॉन्ग क्या है, कौन सा आदमी करेगा, कौन सा आदमी नहीं करेगा, कौन सा आदमी रहेगा, कौन सा आदमी नहीं रहेगा, कौन सा आदमी सीख जाएगा, कौन सा नहीं सीखेगा। सो ऑल ऑफ दिस इज एक्सपीरियंस, all of these are insights, the case studies. These are all case studies which gives you insight, which gives you some learning. And then you, जैसे आप स्कूल में कॉलेज में पढ़ते हो तो कुछ केस स्टडी से कुछ सीखते हो ना, तो ऐसे ही आप काम पे जब होते हो तो बहुत सारे केस स्टडीज रोज लाइव आते हैं।
राइट।
तो हर केस स्टडी आपको कुछ सिखाना चाहिए। हर केस स्टडी से you have to take an outcome. That what's the outcome? What's my lesson? What's my two learning out of this? And all of those learnings gives you a gut, create your gut mature, and that's the gut feel that you say.
आपने एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात कही थी सर, क्लैरिटी की, जिसमें आपने बताया हम जब वी-मार्ट चला रहे थे तो हम डिस्ट्रैक्ट नहीं हुए कि हमको इसको रियल एस्टेट का धंधा बनाना है या फिर होलसेल का धंधा बनाना है या रिटेल का धंधा बनाना है। रिटेल में भी एक समय ऐसा आया था जब आपने यू रेज द प्राइवेट इक्विटी चेक, 23, you diluted 23% of your business for 20 crores with Anand Industries. Tell us, number one, the story, because Anand के लिए वो पहली डील थी. How did you convince them to invest in your business? Second thing, how did you stick to your core? How did you have the clarity कि यार मुझे दूसरी चीज़ों में वेंचर आउट नहीं करना है, मुझे इन्हीं चीज़ों में वेंचर करना है। स्टोर में भी मैं अप्रैल में ज़्यादा फोकस करूँगा, बाकी चीज़ों में नहीं बेचूंगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारे ब्रांड होते हैं ना जो पहली चीज़ बेचते हैं फिर वो दूसरी चीज़ आती है, चलो मैं कॉस्मेटिक भी बेचना शुरू कर देता हूँ, अब मैं FMCG पे भी चला जाता हूँ, क्योंकि बाकी सारे जो प्लेयर्स थे वो FMCG में थे, लेकिन यू स्टिक कि नहीं मुझे अपैरल और इन सारी चीज़ों को कोर में बनाना है। व्हाट वाज योर थॉट?
So definitely when we saw success and we were able to multiply the number of stores to 30, 35, we had some fund crunches. We wanted to grow more and we saw कि यार यहाँ से ग्रो करना तो बहुत इम्पॉसिबल है, यहाँ से बहुत ज़्यादा ग्रो करना तो बहुत पैसे चाहिए। इतने पैसे लोन पे लो या तो इंटरेस्ट पे लो या किसी को पार्टनर लो, किसी को शेयर होल्डिंग दो। And the person whom we were able to convince was once again the same thought process, the belief that we have, the conviction that we have over why we should do this business is the conviction that you have to stitch together to create and make your investor understand the same. कि आपका इन्वेस्टर को भी वही कन्विक्शन जिससे आपने अपने धंधे में पैसे लगाए थे, सेम, नथिंग हैज चेंज्ड, राइट? इट इज द सेम कन्विक्शन which made us put our money into the business. And this conviction, if you are able to create similar understanding to your investor, and you also create an understanding that there is a gap in the market, and I have this conviction, and I have the capability, I have the potential, my team has the potential,
to write
my organization has a potential, and I have a potential not only to do some of them, but also scale them. I also have a learning that I can actually multiply them. It is just not that I can do it. It is also that I can do it
At a scale.
at 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x. And that's where the valuation piece comes in. That's where the investor looks at value. For him, this is all about value. उसके दिमाग का बल्ब वही जलता है. उसको यही बल्ब दिखता है कि अच्छा मेरा तो ये 5x हो गया, मेरा तो ये 3x हो गया, कि नहीं मेरा 0x हो जाएगा. So he will always try to look it from those lenses. एंड इट इज़ नॉट कि आपको उसको दिखाना है इसलिए आपको बोलना है. आप खुद कन्विक्शन में हो तब आपको बताना है. अगर आपको खुद को उसमें डाउट है तो फिर आप नहीं बता पाओगे. फिर आप कभी भी कितना भी बोलोगे सामने वाला पहचान जाएगा तो कि ये फेक कर रहा है, ये झूठ बोल रहा है, इसमें पूरा भरोसा नहीं है, इसको कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं है. आप नज़र से नज़र मिला के बात नहीं कर पाओगे. आपकी बातों में वो वजन नहीं आएगा. एंड दे आर शार्प इनफ. They are bread and butter, so they will make it up. So it is all about your own conviction and then your gathering of all your information into a plan which makes them convinced कि भाई ये तो देखो ना इतना बड़ा मार्केट है, इतनी बड़ी जगह है, इतनी सारी चीज़ें हैं, हम ये कर रहे हैं और हमारे ये वैल्यू सिस्टम्स है, हमारी ये एक्सपर्टाइज है, हमारे पास ये टीम है, हमारे पास ये स्ट्रेंथ है, हमारी ये वीकनेसेस भी हैं जिनको हम ओवरकम करेंगे तो हम इससे भी अच्छा करने लग जाएंगे. हमें पता है ये हमारी वीकनेस है जिसको हमें काम करना है. तो वीकनेस बताना भी बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. बिकमिंग वल्नरेबल इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. दैट गिव्स एन अपॉर्चुनिटी. वीकनेस जब भी होती है वहीं से अपॉर्चुनिटी निकलती है. स्वॉट अप जब बनाओगे तो वीकनेस आप जब देखोगे कि वीकनेसेस जितनी भी होती है ना वही अपॉर्चुनिटी में कन्वर्ट होती है. तो जब आप वीकनेस पे अच्छे से काम करोगे तो आपको वो अपॉर्चुनिटी में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगी. एंड वही इन्वेस्टर की चार आंखें बन जाती है इस समय यार अच्छा ये कमियां हैं, ये तो मैं मिलके से अपने इसको हेल्प करूंगा तो ये ठीक कर देगा तो यहाँ हम और बिजनेस बना लेंगे, इतने प्रॉफिट और बढ़ जाएंगे. तो जब बढ़ जाएंगे तो मेरी वैल्यू और बढ़ जाएगी. दे इन्वेस्ट इनटू योर बिजनेस. दैट्स हाउ यू टेक दोज डिसीजंस. एंड द पॉइंट ऑन फोकस, आई थिंक that's number one thing for an entrepreneur. When you are into something which has so much of distinct options available in your because as a retailer can sell from a needle to an aeroplane. है ना, एक छोटी सी सुई भी बेच सकता है और ऊपर में बोलेगा कि भाई प्लेन भी लाके खड़े कर दो तो मैं तो बेच दूंगा, मुझे तो रिटेल तो कर ही दूंगा मैं, है ना. तो रिटेल में तो इतनी बड़ी पॉसिबिलिटीज है, हर चीज लाके रिटेल कर सकते हो. रिटेल का क्या फर्क पड़ता है. बट आपको अपनी एक एक्सपर्टाइज और स्ट्रेंथ तो बनानी पड़ेगी ना, जिसमें आप बेस्ट हो, जिसमें आपकी टीम बेस्ट है, जिसके लिए आप जाने जाते हो, जिसके लिए आप जाना चाहते हो, जिसके लिए लोग आपको पहचानेंगे, जो आपका इकोसिस्टम सपोर्ट कर रहा है ना. तो आई थिंक करने को तो हम सब कुछ कर सकते हैं और हमने किया भी है. बट कहीं ना कहीं एक चीज़ हमने अपनी एंकर बना के रखी है कि ये हमारी एंकर है. दिस इज वॉट वी आर नोन फॉर. दिस इज द डिफरेंशिएटिंग फैक्टर वेयर वी कैन क्रिएट अ डिफरेंशिएटिंग फैक्टर, where we can be better than our competitor, where we can gather things, where we can innovate things, where we have the ecosystem कि हम कभी बीट नहीं हुए, हम रोज लर्न कर लेंगे, नई चीज़ आएगी हम सीख जाए. तो वो स्ट्रेंथ होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. एंड वो भी हमको रियलाइज़ हो गया. हम बीच में इधर उधर हुए थे तो फिर हमने रियलाइज़ किया. जब खराब टाइम आती है तो ज़्यादा रियलाइजेशन होता है सब. जब भी आपका खराब टाइम गुजरेगा तो आपको ज़्यादा रियलाइजेशन होगा कि आपकी स्ट्रेंथ क्या है और आपका कोर क्या है. आप वापस कोर को अपना अच्छा करोगे कि बेस्ट मैं मेरा कोर को पहले ठीक करता हूँ, बाद में बाकी का फ्रिल्स को मैं बाद में करूँगा. तो आप फ्रिल्स काटते हो. तो दैट्स द वे टू बी फोकस्ड, कन्विंस योरसेल्फ टू बी फोकस्ड एंड क्रिएट अ मास्टरी इन दैट पर्टिकुलर एरिया. सो इट्स ऑल अबाउट क्रिएटिंग अ मास्टरी.
जब आपकी सर मास्टरी बन जाती है, जैसे अप्रैल में एक केस स्टडी, आपने केस स्टडी बात करी, यू आर टेकिंग द हार्वर्ड ओपीएम प्रोग्राम, जिसकी कल मैंने थोड़ी सी कोशिश करी थी अटेंड करने की, एंड देन इट वाज वंडरफुल. उसमें ऐसा एक केस स्टडी थी कि यूएस में रिटेल शॉप्स में बहुत सारे पेरेंट्स डाइपर लेने आते थे अपने बच्चों के. एंड देन व्हाट हैपेंड वाज द रिटेल स्टोर गॉट अ यूनिक इनसाइट कि जब भी आदमी डाइपर लेने आता था तो नेक्स्ट डोर दे यूज्ड टू विजिट द बियर शॉप टू गेट द बियर्स. सो उन्होंने डाइपर के साथ में बियर रखना शुरू कर दिया ताकि जितने भी मेल लोग जब अपने बच्चे का डाइपर लेने आ रहे थे, जब उनकी वाइफ बिजी होती थी दूसरे काम में, सो दे ऑल्सो हैड द मिनट. सो जैसे आप अपना स्टोर प्लान करते, तो आपने नहीं सोचा कि यार लोग कपड़े खरीदने आ रहे हैं तो मैं इनको FMCG भी कुछ ना कुछ और बेचना शुरू कर दूँ.
ये वो है, हम करते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है कि हम नहीं कर रहे हैं. बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं हमारे पास करने के लिए. बट मेन एंकर क्या है ना. इफ देयर इज अ लिमिटेड स्पेस दैट यू हैव, व्हाट इज द प्रायोरिटी,
राइट,
व्हाट आर द मस्ट, एंड देन व्हाट आर द accessories that you want to do, what are the impulse that you want to create, what is around that. कि भाई लोग यहाँ आए हैं, अब आपके पास और थोड़ी सी जगह है, अब इन 2 चीज़ों को और ला लो। तो वो भी हमने किया, ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने नहीं किया, बट वो फोकस नहीं था उसका। वो एक बोलता हूँ मैं, उसमें बोलता हूँ अम्ब्रा एंड पेनम्ब्रा। जब अम्ब्रा और पेनम्ब्रा का एग्जाम्पल लोगे तो द सेंटर ऑफ द सर्कल, दैट शेडो इज एन अम्ब्रा,
राइट,
है ना, द आउटर साइड ऑफ इज द पेनम्ब्रा।
राइट,
तो आपका अम्ब्रा क्या है, विच इज द 80% ऑफ योर कोर, है ना, एंड द पेनम्ब्रा कुड गो अ लिटिल फेंट, लाइटर भी होता जाएगा, बट उतना ही आपका अटेंशन भी होना चाहिए, उतनी ही आपकी वैरायटी होनी चाहिए, उतनी ही आपकी ऑफरिंग होनी चाहिए। बट अम्ब्रा जो है वो कोर आपका बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग होना चाहिए।
आपने कोर की बात करी और इसमें आपने फोकस की भी बात करी, और ये फोकस मेरे हिसाब से तब आया था जब आपने प्राइवेट इक्विटी का राउंड रेज करा था, एंड देन यू रैपिडली स्टार्टेड ग्रोइंग अप, एंड देन यू वर नॉट, थोड़ी सी प्रॉफिटेबली अफेक्ट हुई थी बिजनेस की।
So bad times only teaches you, because वो आप उस समय चले गए थे, दाएं बाएं हो गए थे, अपने एक साथ में काफ़ी दुकानें खोल दी, इधर उधर कर लिया, काफ़ी वैरायटी लॉन्च कर दी, काफ़ी एरिया में घुस गए। यू रियलाइज कि यार आपने क्या गलती करी।
कौन सी ऐसी 3-4 गलती थी उस टाइम में, दैट टाइम ऑफ रैपिड स्केलिंग, जो आपने गलतियां पहचानी और उसके बाद वो कौन सी 3-4 चीजें दोबारा चेंज करी?
हमने किया, हमने 4-5 चीज़ें हमको आइडेंटिफाई हुई कि एक चीज़ हमने आइडेंटिफाई की, यार साइज ऑफ द स्टोर, कि हमने कुछ बड़े साइज के स्टोर खोल दिए, 12,000 फुट 15,000 फुट के। नहीं, हमारा मॉडल तो 7,000 फुट का है, हमें 7,000 फुट की दुकान ही खोलनी है, तो हमें वैरायटी ऑफ स्टोर नहीं खोलना। हमने रियलाइज़ किया कि हमने बहुत दूर दूर स्टोर भी खोल दिए, पंजाब में जाके पटियाला में खोल दिया, गुजरात में जाके खोल दिया, बॉम्बे में जाके खोल दिया, भोपाल में जाके खोल दिया, इंदौर में जाके, उज्जैन में जाके खोल दिया। सो हमने ऐसे ऐसे डाइवर्ट हो गए। तो हमने देखा कि यार बहुत डाइवर्ट हो गए, तो कंट्रोल्स हमारे लूज हो गए, एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन लूज हो गया, लोग वहाँ जानते ही नहीं थे, ब्रांड ही नहीं था, मार्केटिंग नहीं थी, थोड़ा सा पैसा लगाओ वहाँ दिखता ही नहीं, किसी को पता ही नहीं चलता है, आपके पास उतना ही बजट है। तो ये स्टार्टेड रियलाइजिंग कि यार आप वैरायटी ऑफ जगह पे खोलते हैं तो बेटर ऑपरेट इन अ क्लस्टर, ऑपरेट इन एरिया, फर्स्ट एनरिच दैट एरिया,
धीरे धीरे साइड में,
एंड देन वही पेनम्ब्रा का लॉजिक से आप अपना ग्रो करना चालू करो। सेम माइंडसेट, आप अपने कंट्रोल्स को वैसे ही लाओ, आप अपने फिनेंसेस को कंट्रोल करो, कि आप अपना ओवर इन्वेस्टिंग ना करो, उतने ही फिनेंस इन्वेस्ट करो जितनी, उतने ही पैर निकालो जितनी बड़ी चादर है। सो डोंट गो एंड टेक डेट, have that money, whatever you are earning, invest that only. So don't go for over expansion, have a controlled expansion, because the rate of expansion is at that point of time was, or people think, is directly proportionate to the opportunity available.
हाँ, जितनी बड़ी मार्केट है उतनी बड़ा मैं वो
So but the opportunity is what you are looking at is an external opportunity, but there are also areas of internal opportunities and internal capabilities. So the opportunity has to map with the capability, and you have to always understand that what is the rate at which the capability can grow. So the rate at which the capability grows versus the rate at which the opportunity has to get matched.
then only you will be able
Then
to
only you should be able to do it. If you surpass, or if you outclass your capabilities, then your decision making becomes weaker, and you start making wrong decisions, and you start weakening yourself. So that's how some of the learnings came in.
Right.
Those learnings were institutionalized.
how did you institutionalize those learnings? Tell me a couple, give us an example.
I said you about cluster based expansion, where we focused on the Hindi heartland, UP, Bihar, and these markets, trying to go deeper, go into tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and go in that surrounding. कि भैया ये जनता यहाँ बहुत है, UP, it would have been the 5th largest country of the world. So इतना बड़ा UP है, इतनी population है, इतनी जनता है, इधर तो जाने की जरूरत क्या है? आपको क्यों महाराष्ट्र जाना, आपको क्यों साउथ जाना, आपको क्यों पहले इधर पूरा चले जाओ, अंदर घुस जाओ. So that made us the king of UP. That made us everyone know in UP. तो वो हम ऐसे करके डीप चले गए. या हम फोकस, हमने बोला तो हमारा अपैरल फोकस है, तो भैया अभी हमने बीच में FMCG का स्टोर खोल दिया, तो हमने बोला नहीं करेंगे, हम केवल फोकस करेंगे अपैरल का ही, उसी पे हम ग्रो करेंगे, उसी में हम बेटर करेंगे. सो ऑल ऑफ दोज सम ऑफ दोज डिसीजंस हमने प्राइवेट इक्विटी लेके हमने उसी पे काम किया, हमने लोन नहीं लिया, हमने अपनी रेट ऑफ ग्रोथ को 25% पे कैप किया, उससे ऊपर हम कभी भी ग्रो नहीं करेंगे, तो विल टेपर इट डाउन 20-25% के बीच में. So that's the rate at which an organization can expand, capability can expand, and that's parallelly आपको पीछे capability increase करने में काम करना पड़ेगा, infrastructure increase करने में काम करना पड़ेगा. So a lot of those things made us do away with the risk, because risks are very important in the business. When you grow and when you go at a very rapid pace, there are a lot of risks that get activated.
Like
ऑल ऑफ दीज आर रिस्क ना.
Right.
अगर आप नहीं संभाल पाओगे तो क्या होगा? आपके फाइनेंसेस खराब होंगे, आपके लोन्स बढ़ जाएंगे, आपके अंदर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में डिसीजन मेकिंग रॉन्ग होगी, आपकी सेल्स गिर जाएगी, आपको दुकानें बंद करनी पड़ जाएगी, आपकी दुकान चलेगी नहीं, आपके लोन्स बढ़ जाएंगे, आपके क्रेडिटर्स को पेमेंट नहीं कर पाओगे. So all of this gets, so these are risks that gets triggered, which makes a downfall for an organization, which makes an organization fall down and then can go bankrupt. That's how the risks management has to be done. That's a very, very important area of your whole process. तो रिस्क को बार बार देखना, रिस्क को मिटिगेट करना, रिस्क के इम्पैक्ट को लोअर डाउन करना. देयर आर सर्टेन रिस्क दैट यू कांट अवॉइड कि भैया कल कोई अर्थक्वेक आ गया तो रिस्क है ना, राइट. बट आप उसकी मिटिगेशन के इम्पैक्ट के मेजर्स करोगे कि भैया मैं आ भी जाएगा तो मेरा इम्पैक्ट मेरे बिजनेस में इम्पैक्ट कैसे कम आए, उसके लिए मैंने क्या सोचा है अभी से. तो वैसे ही आपको हर चीज़ का भी सोचना पड़ता है. जैसे आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ग्रो करती है, आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज बढ़ जाती है ना. थोड़े से भी जैसे आप शिखर के ऊपर चले जाओगे, ज़्यादा ऊपर चले जाते हो, तो अगर थोड़ा सा भी आप पैर ठीक नहीं रखोगे तो बहुत नीचे जाके गिरोगे.
हाँ.
तो द टॉलर यू ग्रो, द अपर यू गो, the more careful you have to be, the more risk averse you have to be. And that's how you have to take care. Each and every step has to be very, very thoughtful, has to be very, very planned. That's how you can't become that same startup entrepreneur that you were when you started the business.
Right.
Because you have very less to lose at that point of time. You could manage those losses. You could steer. छोटी सी बोट होती है ना, तो कहीं से भी कैसे भी घूम जाती है. जब बड़ी शिप होती है तो उसको आप एक बार में एकदम से नहीं घुमा सकते. So that's how you have to align your decision making according to all of those.
एक ट्रेंड है मार्केट में, ये जितने भी स्टोर्स हैं जिन्होंने पहले अपना ऑनलाइन प्रेजेंस बनाया था, लेंसकार्ट, मामार्ट, ये सारे स्टोर्स आर कमिंग इनटू ऑफलाइन रिटेल. ये अपने सारे रिटेल स्टोर्स खोल रहे हैं. एंड आपने भी जब एंड यू वर डूइंग इट वेरी डिफरेंटली. यू हैड रिटेल स्टोर फिजिकल प्रेजेंस फर्स्ट एंड देन यू ट्राई टू मूव ऑन टू ऑनलाइन विद एक्विजिशन ऑफ लाइमरोड एंड अदर थिंग्स. How do you see the future? Future में लोग, will they buy from physical or will they buy from in person? And how is the change from offline to online wala thing?
I think, see, there's nothing which is in this world which you guys are going to see and which you will be living in, which is 2030 to 2070 or that's what.
Right.
In that age, technology is not going to go back. Technology will expand more. Technology is always going to be there. But emotions are also going to be there. Physical, touch and feel, senses is also going to be there. Emotions, look, view. So everything can't be in only one way. Till this generation, it was only physical. From here onwards, the world has changed. It is also going to be digital. So that's how it has to be. This has to converge. This has to get unified. And every businesses have to have a unification in their offerings. Unification as a platform. Unification in which they are serving them and having those customer experiences. That's how we are thinking. That's how I think it will be. It is not going to be a one way because even all the online players, whether it is an Amazon wants to open a store or as you rightly said, some of the brands, and then or an offline player, whoever in the world are trying to do something or the other digital.
Right.
Okay, so there may be some percentage of your customers who are digitally available, who watch digitally, but they may be in other businesses there may be more percentage of customers. But there is always a customer in this world today because of the impatience level also and because of the availability also. People who want similar kind of experiences in both the world. That is how one has to think.
And how do you figure out the change management or let's say fashion as an industry is constantly evolving. It's a cyclic thing, होली दिवाली में लोग ज़्यादा कपड़े खरीदते हैं, अलग अलग ट्रेंड्स होते हैं, कलर के ट्रेंड्स होते हैं, अलग अलग चीज़ें होती हैं. हाउ डू यू सी, और आजकल सोशल मीडिया का भी बड़ा इन्फ्लुएंस रहता है. जो ये लोग होते हैं, ये सारे लोग ऑनलाइन देखते हैं कि यार सेलिब्रिटीज़ क्या पहन रहे हैं, ये लोग क्या पहन रहे हैं, इंस्टाग्राम पे क्या रील्स चल रही है. हाउ डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट ट्रेंड इन फैशन एंड देन ब्रिंग दैट इनटू योर सप्लाई चेन कि यार ऐसा कपड़ा बनाएंगे, ये चीज़ ज़्यादा चलेगी. हाउ डू यू अंडरस्टैंड, व्हाट्स योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ ट्रेंड एंड द फैशन? बिकॉज हमको पता है कि यू ऑल्सो डिड अ डिग्री इन अ स्मॉल कोर्स इन फैशन मैनेजमेंट व्हाइल यू वर स्टडीइंग.
See, I'm not an expert to that. We have experts in our team who have a good degree, great understanding, who understands design, who understands fashion, who understands category, who understands. So there are There are processes. There are trend management companies. There are trend forecast companies. There are fashion shows which happens. There are meal weeks which happens. There are multiple way in which you research and you get into what is the trend available in the market, what are the latest trends which are all getting offered, what are the futuristic trends which are coming in, what are the color of the season, what is the color of the month, how are you then integrating it with your own product, how are you integrating it with your own customer, how much will your customer be able to adopt that trend, how much is culturally relevant for that particular customer set, how are you looking at those customer set differently, which are your set of customers, what are their personas, which area has what personas more and which areas has less personas of some. You have to all have that particular input, understanding the market, understanding the trend, and then integrating them at all time, and integrating them with a different seasonality, with this different regionality, with different sizes, with different taste, and with different festivals and times of the year. So all of this is a complex algorithm. It's a complex algorithm which multiple attributes with all these big data. And all these data has to come together with right inputs so that the data itself take the right decision. So human has to work on collection of the data, on putting the data in the right spirit, and on giving the certain rules and regulation the way human would think when they see a situation, and integrate them so that the data takes the right decision. That's the way we are seeing it, and we are trying to scale it up.
Give us one unique insight from the data that you have from all the stores. And this insight could be about consumers, this insight could be about fashion, the trends, about color trends, which is very counterintuitive. जो आपने जब data को analyze करा और ये insight देखा तो you're like crazy कि यार ऐसा भी होता है क्या? Some interesting insight.
सारे insights मैंने पहले एक कश्मीर का एग्जांपल दिया हूँ, या अभी हम देखते हैं कि जैसे वुमेन की डेनिम्स है, वुमेन की डेनिम्स में भी बहुत लूज डेनिम्स चल रही है. सो फैशन आया हुआ है बहुत, बट वी ऑलवेज हैड अ बिलीफ यार हमारे कस्टमर अभी इजीली अडॉप्ट नहीं करेंगे. बट एंड वी सॉ द ट्रेंड, वी सॉ सम ट्रेंड्स कमिंग इन फास्टर, एंड वी वांटेड टू डू, सो वी ऑलवेज हैव अ पायलटिंग मैकेनिज्म. सो पायलट करते हैं, ट्रेंड को एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं. We manufacture for few quantities, put it in certain stores which we feel will adopt with the faster, put it in the next set of stores which we feel will. The rate of adoption that we saw was wonderful, and some of those agility was brought in so that we were able to drive this piece a little more faster.
Right.
But there were certain section of stores where we saw this adoption is very, very weak, and we realized that this is a wrong decision for those stores. So there are certain sections of society or certain tier of store or certain region where we saw the trend adoption in men's being very, very good, but in women's being very, very bad. So some of those learnings then went back, and we corrected our decisions, and we immediately realized that there is still a differentiation in the adoption rate of customer set. And there are adoptions that customer do very fast on trend. There are certain set of customers who do not adopt so fast.
And who are these customers who adapt so fast, and what kind of personas these persons ऐसे लोग होता है जो
जनरली यूथ होते हैं, तो यूथ ज़्यादा फास्ट अडॉप्ट करता है. Within the youth also, youth who are in a better markets or in a better city, in a bigger city, would adopt much more faster. It also depends upon your culture in that particular geography. How ethnicity prevails in that geography is also the ethnicity, the lifestyle, the social culture of that particular area. कि customer कितने women अपने आप को promote कर सकती है. What is the physical structure of the women? It also depends on them. अगर लड़कियां बहुत नाटी होती है तो उन पे कुछ सूट करता है, कुछ नहीं करता है, तो वहाँ कुछ अडॉप्ट करेंगी, कुछ नहीं करेंगी.
और ये ज्योग्राफी से पता चलता है.
So बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जो कि आपको इसके अंदर जब डीप जाओगे तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जो एल्गोरिदम में डाल भी नहीं पाते हैं, है ना. So but there are certain inputs that you have to catch hold of. It is not very easy, but you have to catch hold of those triggers which makes your algorithm work better.
Any recent triggers जो आपने ऐसा पकड़ा था?
ये सारे ही बता रहा हूँ. इन्हीं में और डीपर जाएंगे तो बहुत सारे ट्रिगर्स हैं. फैशन की दुनिया में रोज ही ऐसे ट्रिगर्स मिलते रहते हैं. फैशन की दुनिया में रोज ही मिलते हैं. एंड इट इज जस्ट नॉट फैशन, इट इज ऑल्सो फैशन ऑन टॉपिंग अप विथ द इंफॉर्मेशन दैट पीपल आर एक्सेसिंग टू. the amount of information which people are accessing to, and the kind of perception or the kind of outcome that the people take out of those information. Because social media, aane se, the level of information has blasted so much
Right.
that how much is adoption at which city, in which college, in which group, how are they adopting it, what are they perceiving out of it, what is the culture in that group or that college or that city which gets created. It can get created by one fashion store. It can created by by couple of individuals as well. कि 2-4-5 इंडिविजुअल वहाँ फैशन करने लग जाएंगे तो पूरा माहौल बदल जाता है, पूरा शहर बदल जाता है. हमने देखा है पूरा शहर का शहर फैशनिज्म होते हुए. कैसे लोग पहले कुछ नहीं पहनते थे, अब सब कुछ वैसे ही पहनते हैं. So all those are the transition, and how quick is a society adopting to those transition depends upon certain triggers and certain synchronicity.
जो आप ट्रिगर्स की बात कर रहे हैं, जो टीयर 2, 3 और 4 की जनता है, आप बहुत सारी BTL मार्केटिंग करते हैं, बहुत सारी चीज़ें करते हैं. What's the insight? Where are these people spending their time on? What are these people consuming in terms of, where are these people spending time? में कहाँ पर सबसे ज़्यादा इनका इन्फ्लुएंस कहाँ से आता है सर? We want more businesses to cater to this audience. और जब इन ऑडियंस को हम पकड़ते हैं, कहाँ पर टाइम वेस्ट कर रहे हैं सर? कहाँ पर टाइम स्पेंड कर रहे हैं? कहाँ से ये इन्फ्लुएंस होते हैं?
See, definitely.
You have some insights on those lines.
Definitely, these for them, their society is the main influencer. Their friends, their family, people who live nearby, people who come to the college, their friends. All of them are the influencers. The first influencer to family से लेके friends को जाके आप अपने अगल बगल की चीज़ें देखते हैं. उसके बाद उनके लिए बड़ा इन्फ्लुएंसर होता है मूवीज़, टेलीविजन्स. सो वो बहुत बड़ा इन्फ्लुएंसर है कि मूवी में स्टार्स क्या पहन के है, रोल मॉडल. सो रोल मॉडल जो होते हैं उनके, वो रोल मॉडल बड़े इन्फ्लुएंसर होते हैं. तो चाहे वो रोल मॉडल बड़ा स्टार है, शाहरुख है या सलमान है या अक्षय है या टाइगर श्रॉफ है, तो सो ऑल ऑफ देम आर इन्फ्लुएंसर्स फॉर देम. वुमेन, कई लोगों के लिए टीवी सीरियल्स इन्फ्लुएंसर होते हैं. अब सोशल मीडिया भी इन्फ्लुएंसर बन गया है. अब आप के अपने अपने फॉलोइंग लिस्ट है, आप अपने अपने फॉलोअर इन्फ्लुएंसर को फॉलो कर रहे हो, आप अपने अपने चैनल्स को फॉलो कर रहे हो. तो अब तो और वाइड हो गया है ना. यू डोंट नो व्हाट ईच पीपल आर एक्सेसिंग टू, व्हाट इज मेटा शोइंग टू whom versus whom, what is who are the people who are accessing what kind of social media, what kind of material. So it's such a complex algorithm. But yeah, definitely there are trending stories, definitely there are trends which are going on.
ऐसा कभी हुआ है कि किसी भी बड़े आदमी की कोई पिक्चर आ रही हो और उस पिक्चर में किसी ने कोई कपड़े पहन रखे हो? और
तो रोज होता है, वो तो रोज होता है. वो हमारा काम है कि हमें उसको फॉलो करना होता है, उसको प्रोवाइड करना होता है, जिससे कि जब मूवी लॉन्च हो रही है तभी हमारे प्रोडक्ट साथ साथ में आए. अगर हम लेट हैं तो इमीडिएटली पहुंचाएं. कई बार जब डिमांड आ जाती है उसके बाद हम कैटर करके पहुंचाते हैं. थिंग्स आर देयर.
डू यू हैव एनी मैकेनिज्म जहाँ पर आपको पहले पता चल जाता है कि यार ये पिक्चर आ रही है, इस पिक्चर में ये लोग ऐसे कपड़े पहनेंगे तो हम पहले
सब फैशन एक ही जगह से निकलता है. फैशन वही फैशन फोरकास्ट से आता है. सारे ब्रांड्स भी वहीं से उठाते हैं, हम भी वहीं से उठाते हैं. तो वो
कौन सी जगह है अगर देखना
जगह कुछ नहीं होता है. वो देयर आर फैशन शोज, देयर आर फैशन फोरकास्टर्स, देयर आर रिलीजर्स. तो वो वहीं से आपको सब कोई गेन करते हैं, सब गेन करते हैं. कोई उसको ट्वीक करके थोड़ा सा चेंज कर लेता है, कोई इसको ट्वीक करके ऐसे चेंज कर लेता है. तो इट इज ऑल अबाउट दैट. एंड देयर आर डिफरेंट सिग्नेचर्स ऑफ डिफरेंट ब्रांड्स. एंड एट टाइम्स यू अडॉप्ट सर्टन सिग्नेचर्स, एट टाइम्स यू डोंट अडॉप्ट. ये रणवीर अगर बहुत कलरफुल कपड़े पहन के आ गया तो हमारे वो सिग्नेचर हमारे ऑडियंस नहीं पहनेगी, तो हम अडॉप्ट नहीं करेंगे. हाँ, बट वो सलमान जैसा वाला कपड़ा पहन के आता है वो अडॉप्ट कर लेते हैं कि भैया सलमान जो पहनता है वो हमारे कस्टमर पहन लेते हैं. So there are certain fashion which you will adopt, and those role models are something where people will want to look like them. But there are certain role models जहाँ लोग बोलते हैं ये तो हमारी रीच के बाहर है भाई, ये ले लूँगा तो एक ही बार पहन पाऊंगा, उसके बाद पहनूंगा ही नहीं. So there are those decisions has to be made fundamentally in your organization. You have to know which role model is your role model, which influencer is your influencer, which brand are your inspiring brands, how do you convince, where do you take inspirations from, where would you go out if you want to learn. So there are those markets for those categories which are aligned. That's how you learn, and that's where the film industry also takes in from.
और ऐसे कौन कौन से रोल मॉडल्स हैं जिनके जो कपड़े पहनते हैं वो चले जाते हैं आपके यहाँ पर भी?
बताया ना मैंने आपको.
सलमान.
हाँ, तो ऐसे बहुत सारे हैं. मोस्टली टेलीविजन के आर्टिस्ट होते हैं. टेलीविजन वाले जितने भी होते हैं वो बहुत चलते हैं. एथनिक में सीरियल्स के जो होते हैं, सीरियल्स वाले बहुत चलते हैं.
बिकॉज ये सारी जनता यहाँ से
साड़ी वाली है, सलवार्स वाली हैं, कुर्तीज़ वाली हैं. तो जितने भी होम सॉप सीरियल्स होते हैं, सब डेली सोप्स होते हैं, उनमें से बहुत कुछ निकल के आता है. बिकॉज जो जनता है वो उनके लिए देखने के लिए वही सब है. जो छोटी मूवीज आती है, छोटे दूरदर्शन के सीरियल्स भी आते हैं, उनसे भी फैशन आता है। और अब तो फेसबुक है, इंस्टा है, वहाँ से भी बहुत कुछ आपको निकल के आता है, बिकॉज वहाँ भी अडॉप्शन वहीं से होता है। कुछ चीज़ें एक डिज़ाइनर भी उसको फेमस कर देता है।
आपने हार्वर्ड का ऑपरेटर प्रमोटर मैनेजमेंट प्रोग्राम पढ़ रखा है, बहुत सारी केस स्टडीज करी होगी सर वहाँ पर भी। कोई ऐसी एक दो केस स्टडीज है जिसमें जो आपको पढ़ी थी तो आपका मतलब इंसाइटफुल, मतलब इट वाज रियली इंसाइटफुल फॉर यू?
नहीं, there are multiple case studies on different areas. There are cases that you have learned on human management. There are cases you have learned on control management. There are cases that you have learned on risk management. There are cases that you have learned on how do you do a business plan management. There are cases on your technology, thinking about innovatively, thinking about strategically. So there are definitely a lot of cases. I mean, there is one case that we learned which was on mergers and acquisition. एक कंपनी थी जो मुझे भी कंपनी का नाम याद नहीं एग्जैक्टली बता दूंगा। तो देयर इज वन कंपनी which grew only from mergers and acquisition, and there's such a good case where they made an expertise on only looking at companies which had good fundamental, which has good business, but were not managed properly and had some efficiency lacking. And where they thought that if we take it up, we have this formula, we install this technology, we put this, we create efficiency and we immediately turn around and double the profitability. There are some companies there are some case studies which are so good, which actually creates some change. There are a lot of companies, like one case study on Domino's Pizza was very good, where how did the company become so big? How did they were looking at very lows, and then they suddenly they were able to then spike themselves up with some technology intervention, with certain decisions that the CEO took. So there are some of those case studies which makes you learn, and then we discuss over it and we find out things which are great, which he did or she did in the case, which was good, and their case in what could have been done better, what could have we changed, what was the learning. So some of those pieces actually, when you look back and when you look back into your business and then you apply it on your businesses, and then when you see what is that improvement that you want to do and how do you want to do, and how do you then look into your own improvement, your own learning, and then in the change that you want to bring into your organization.
And what's the best part about Harvard OPM program?
So the owner president management course, which it is called, are basically owners, are people who are entrepreneurs, who are businessmen. And they are all coming from multi-countries. There are more than 43 countries where people come from in my class. And they all are going through similar challenges. Right. They are going through similar position. They are in different culture. They are in different society with different rules and regulations, with different mindset. But they all have similar business areas. They have similar finance issues, HR issues, control issues, family issues. So there's a lot of cross-learning. There's a lot of cross-learning that you have. There's a lot of peer learning that you have. There's a lot of interactions that and you build a strong bond, and you build a strong relationship. You build that kind of culture wherein people can reach out to each other, people can learn from each other, people in difficult times can call their friend and take advice. कि यार तू क्या रहा तेरा क्या कैसा है? And then in the program, the way they have arranged the program, they build some living group, and within the living group there's such a strong bonding that they can develop. They help each other. They become advisors to each other. They become consultant to you. And that's how you learn from both the professors' case studies as well as from your peers. Right. And that's the good part in this, that the peer become and the fellow classmates become a great source of learning also for you.
And after CIA के president थे sir, what were some decisions that you made जिससे पूरी इंडस्ट्री को इफेक्ट हुआ था, जिससे आपकी भी लर्निंग बहुत अच्छी हुई थी? एंड हाउ डिड यू डू द स्टेक होल्डर मैनेजमेंट? बिकॉज वहाँ पर आपको यू हैव टू जॉइन हैंड्स विद द गवर्नमेंट, यू हैव टू जॉइन हैंड विद द इंडस्ट्री, तो वो एक्सपेक्टेशन सेटिंग करनी पड़ती है सब लोगों की। तो वहाँ की क्या मतलब एक्सपीरियंस था? और हाउ
आई थिंक बहुत सारा चीज़ था। आई थिंक वहाँ हमने बिकॉज ऑफ फंडामेंटल thought process was that retail was not considered as an industry, and how do we make that reach to the government? How do we bring it as a ministry under a certain umbrella in the ministry, so that we are able to convince them and make our product, our point, make reach to them. So there are a lot of things that we did. One, definitely aligning with all the stakeholders, managing multiple associations, and then definitely having a relationship with the with the institution, which is the government, the bureaucrats, the secretaries, the ministers,
right,
and then in bringing them, interacting with them, giving them respect, giving them inputs on on certain things and making them realize that we are an important part of their decision making. And that was very important. And
How do you make them realize?
well, that's what they started realizing. And then post-COVID, we saw a lot of change, and we gave them a lot of inputs during COVID. We helped them during COVID. We also took a lot of input. It was very important for us during COVID to work with the government to take a lot of decisions on what to do, how to manage the supply chain of the country, how to manage the problems that the consumer should not face in the consumer aspect. How do we help the government? How do we help the people there? How do we help the manufacturers? How do we align everything so that the ecosystem do not succumb to?
Right.
So some realization also happens wherein now government, whenever they want to take any decision, they bring in they call the body first.
Right.
They call us, they ask, they take advice. They want us to go back and talk to the retailers and come back with their advices. So a lot of things, and then definitely making even the ecosystem or the other retailers believe that the association can help and make certain things easy for them. And then there are a lot of internal learnings as well, which is if there is some expertise which one retailer has, how do we convey to other retailers? How do cross sharing happens? How does experts can be called upon so that experts can speak about their experiences, and then like what we do in OPM, how do that panel
peer learning,
how do that peer learning starts becoming better? How does that trust comes in? यार तेरा बिजनेस अलग है, मेरा बिजनेस अलग है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, हम दोनों एक दूसरे से भी सीख लें. तो तुम्हारा अपना काम है, मेरा अपना काम है. Even in spite of being a competitor, we can still learn from each other and grow the overall ecosystem and grow the overall industry and make the ecosystem and the industry survive rather than each only one to survive.
आपके कोई competitor ऐसे हैं जिनसे आपने सीखा है बहुत सब और personally?
सब बहुत सारे competitor हैं. We all learn with each other. Like competitor like bestsellers, or competitor like Bata, or people like Max, or people like Pantaloons, Aditya Birla. So all of them are very good friends. They all we have large discussions. We have a lot of debates. We always get into multiple areas and their experiences and क्या सही है, क्या गलत है, कैसे करना चाहिए. किसी में हमको कोई ट्रेनर लाना तो ट्रेनर को लेके आओ, कहीं बाहर जाके समझना, तुम किसी से बाहर को बुलाओ किसी को. So we've done some of those, and some of those learnings only makes the ecosystem, because organized retail do not have a large history in India. It is very, very new. That is why everyone has to learn.
ये सवाल है सिर्फ आपको एक लाइन में जवाब देना है सर, एक छोटा से वर्ड में या सेंटेंस में, जल्दी होगा. What's the brand of the shirt that you're wearing right now?
It's a TM Live-In shirt.
Okay.
Which I when I was going to the streets of London, and I saw that, so I like this their fit, and I like their finish, which I wanted to replicate in our shirts as well. So I bought one.
Okay, lovely. What's one thing that you want Lakshit to learn from you, that you're constantly teaching him and his cousins?
No, I think the only thing that we teach and I want to teach is be grounded, be humble, and be vulnerable. So very, very important, so that you don't fly, as you said, you don't get egoistic, you don't get arrogant, and that's the fundamental to all your culture.
What's your most favorite listed company?
The most favorite listed company?
Yes.
I mean, as of now, definitely Trent is a very good company which is doing good. And then there are definitely a lot of other companies, because FMCG companies are also very, very good. So Hindustan Lever and Procter & Gamble, they are some of the companies which have really established great product lines, and they've taken a huge share of the market in India.
We are hosting Sanjeev sir, so Sanjeev sir, who's the MD of Hindustan Lever, very soon. So tell us one recent movie or documentary that you have watched जिसको आपको देखने में बहुत मजा आया था.
नाम की परीक्षा मेरे से मत लो यार. But yeah, I was going through a documentary on mushrooms recently on Netflix, which I loved a lot. So I'll give you the names also. So
Sure. Tell us 3 people. जैसे हम young जो जितने भी लोग होते हैं वो बोलते हैं you are the sum of 5 people that you surround yourself with. Who are some 5 people that you would like to surround yourself if you were 22 again, from this age? They can be people, founders from other companies, these can be family members. Who those 5 people would be? If you have to consciously design those 5 people, if I stay around them, I would be their son.
No, I think there are definitely, I'm satisfied with people whom I have got surrounded with. and I will definitely want to also get surrounded with some good folks who are around. मतलब internationally if you speak, Elon Musk is someone.
Right. वो आपने बोल दो क्या, वो आपने बता चुके हैं आप दूसरे चैनल पे, इसलिए you have to tell some new.
Channel की बात क्या मत करो. But anyway, I can't change my favorite people. But yeah, definitely there are people who Steve Jobs would have been someone
Right.
who really had a very sharp mind, a sharp brain. We see there's a lot of Sam Walton is someone
Right.
whom I would have loved to be around.
Have you read his book?
Yes, I definitely read his book. There's a lot of learning, lot of things that one can learn them from, and then definitely there are a lot of people in India, like even the Sadhguru is someone who is so down rooted.
Did you met him yesterday?
Yeah. I mean, so some of those, and then definitely I want to get surrounded with my family members who are definitely here. My father,
Who is someone that you can call 2 a.m. in the night
2 a.m. in the night.
for any help?
Yeah, I think one of my friends called Akash Mundra. I can call him up anytime.
Lovely.
He can also call me up. And
Tell me one thing जो आपको सबसे ज़्यादा happiness देती है. And I'm not talking about momentary happiness. I'm talking about sustained happiness, जिसको आपको करने में बहुत मजा आता है.
I think my morning routine, my morning exercises, my morning yoga, my morning routine helps me. That's the best time that I have, and that gives me the maximum happiness.
And what's on your bucket list? What is something that you look forward, you're very excited to do?
No, I think I look forward to continue the life that I have. I look forward to seek more in terms of my own awareness, in terms of getting little more less on the attachment, little more on the meditative side, little more on the awareness side, so that you come to know yourself more rather than knowing more about the world.
One challenge that you're facing right now.
The one challenge that I'm facing right now is definitely getting into the practice of meditation.
Okay.
Getting into my time management on giving more time to my family and my children. So
One business challenge that you're facing right now.
the business challenge that we are facing right now is how do we make the new acquisition that we did of LimeRoad? How do we make that sustainable? How do we make that profitable? How do we really work on integrating that particular business so that we do not have to bleed extra money and manage the cash flow? So I think that's the challenge. And how do we unify the online versus on online piece so that the at a minimum cost.
And if you have to predict one thing about future, sir, the world where Lakshit and me will spend our maximum time, what is that one thing that you think, yeah, this will happen in future?
Predict. No, I think in future, definitely people are going to become much more sharper, much more intelligent. Lot of decisions will be taken along with machines only. Yeah, but people will learn how to create triggers for machine, and people will become intelligent to create triggers.
एक चीज थी जो Neha ma'am asked me to, we were discussing before. How do you see the succession? So you are a first generation entrepreneur, sir. आपने V-Mart शुरुआत से पापा को देख के इतनी सारी learnings देख के आपने बढ़ाया है. How do you think about the succession? How do you think जो next generation है, ये generation can benefit maximum from the resources that you have created? And if they have to start something of their own, how should they go about it? What are your thoughts? What do you think? And this is very important.
No, I think, see, for me, the succession should be professional more. First of all, the basic fundamental succession planning that we do is more a professional succession planning, wherein a CEO should take over that, and it should be an institution-led succession planning methodology, wherein every leader can get succeeded, and that's how the succession should happen. But yeah, definitely, my biological succession is also there. My son would also want to come into the business. He definitely should aspire to come to the business, and he will also learn the process of understanding the business, and maybe at times can lead the business. So I think that's very important. And as a youngsters, I think every youngster should look forward to succeeding on what their forefathers or their fathers or their parents have also done on to, and do it differently. Take the world very differently. Take the challenges very differently, and not try to just reach on the top immediately, but go through the journey and go through the path.
And how will you make them go through that journey and do not reach?
No, I don't think it is just we have to allow the environment. We have to allow the space to become so intimidating for them to actually go through the journey. We have to allow the process to be so smooth so that they can actually go through the journey. We have to allow our relationship with them in such a manner that they get comfortable in all of those, because lot of these new generation people, they're not comfortable in working with their parents, they're not comfortable in working with their elders and their existing businesses, and they find problems and they find bottlenecks in their businesses, and they find areas of concerns, and they want to do something which is a little more glamorous or a little more freer and a little more. So I think one needs to try and understand that one should not take it as a legacy. They should take it as a startup. They should try and see this as a startup venture and see that what is the change that I can bring in, what is the differentiation that I can create on the top of it, what is the layer that I can build over it. It is just and there is always a layer in any kind of businesses that you do or any kind of job that you do. It's something which is already laid in. You have to, on the top of it, do something else. So similarly in this piece, the simple advice for the parents is also that do consider the child and as an eligible. Do consider him as well as also as a better intelligent person than you. Something that he knows much better than what you know. And that is how you delegate, and that is how you empower them, and that is how you make them feel responsible so that they can come up for the succession.
My dear sir, thanks a lot. Really grateful. बहुत अच्छा था. इसमें इतनी सारी चीजें थी. We have to